Okay, so wait, so Ben's gonna do it?
Yeah,
I'm thinking I'm on.
Going to do the intro.
Are you gonna do it? Oh, I thought I was
You want to
doing
do it?
No,
Who's got it?
no, you go ahead, Ben. You do this.
Why don't we let Dave do it? Dave never does it.
Nobody wants
That's
Dave
an
to do
idea.
it. Actually, Dave's got the good microphone. Let's let Dave do it.
Yeah, let's hear it, Dave.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to the original Drink and Draw Social Club program, starring tonight Mark Brooks, a man of many different facial hairs. He is a cover artist extraordinaire and an interior artist extraordinaire, with him doing the Star Wars Tour de Force book that came out a couple of years ago. Mark Brooks.
I like how you forgot the name of the book.
Hang on a second, Ben. How would you
And-
rate that? Ben, how would you rate that intro?
Well, you know, in fairness to Dave, it was cold. You know, he wasn't warmed up for it or anything.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, come get some
you know,
slack.
Mark's the hard guy to talk about, so we had to think of some stuff right off the cuff like that. That's
There was a little stammering, a little bit of
We don't have
stammering.
Jeff here.
That's it. So,
I mean, I could have mentioned how he's holding on to my samurai armor.
Oh, I can show you it. It's actually propped up on the other side of my Hot Toys display cabinet right now.
that's not a euphemism.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
What are you drinking there, Mark? If you don't mind me asking.
It's I was drinking a beer and I finished that, and now I'm on a whiskey and Coke Zero.
Ah,
Like that.
it is not your brush cleaning water. That's good.
No,
Doing a
it's
little,
not. I mean, I could make that mistake. Yeah.
This is Tito's and kombucha.
Dear God.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't even know you anymore, man.
Tastes great.
I can only imagine how terrible that tastes.
That tastes awful, but you've seen me drink worse. So,
This is true. I've seen a lot of things, but
Joe, what are you drinking? Anything?
Water.
Water?
I'm a professional, Dan. Professionals don't drink when they work.
Oh, all right. Dave, are you? Dave's got a Dixie cup. He's at a frat party.
Hey, man, I'm from the South. You know, solo cup. That's how I go. So,
Wow.
yeah. No, I'm drinking. What is it? Vodka and Sprite. So,
yeah. See, Dan, that's something you could drink with vodka. Sprite,
Not kombucha.
not kombucha.
Kabooch.
You know that I tried that kombucha because I kept hearing everyone talk about it, and they sell it at like CVS, and I tried it, and I don't get it. I don't
I like it.
understand.
Gentlemen, hang on. I have to stop you for a second. I have to stop you because Ronnie made a comment here. Dan, I think you should read this one, or
Let me
Ben.
see. I'll try to pull it up. Oh,
Yeah. Thank you.
wow. Who's this guy?
I didn't want to stop. You know, Mark, he was in the flow and stuff, but I think when comments like that come up, it's
I don't
important.
understand who this guy
I think
is.
that's a Ron Garney account. I think
That's one Garney account. See here.
Ted's with us on a Wednesday.
Thank God for Ted. Mark,
Go
this
past
is
Ted.
Mark, this is going to change your life. I mean, your life's pretty good.
Oh, I plan on it. Yeah, I was hoping for that. I've been thinking, you know, in the time of COVID, I need a life-changing event, and I assumed this would be it.
Yeah. It took us a while to get you on. We finally did. I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be good for everybody.
Oh, I think so. Well, no, Dave asked me like, God, it was a few months ago, and then I never heard anything back from him. So I just went, okay, well, it's the last one already.
Yeah, our booking department is a little.
Dave told us you didn't want to be on the show.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Something about Jeff Johnson being on, so we got rid of Jeff, and here you are.
Mark, when you were asking what words you can't say, that was one of them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So guys, if you're looking at this artwork, look, there's even more.
Oh,
Ooh, pretty.
there's a lot.
Mark, you tend to draw a lot of characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tend to.
Yeah.
It started happening a few years ago. I always thought that, you know, as freelancers, we're all like guns for hire, right? But then when you become a cover artist, you realize you are really a gun for hire, that you're never drawing the same thing. You rarely draw the same thing twice.
This is something. It's a blast from the past. This has to be right.
Yeah, that was an issue of Thor I did, but I got in a lot of trouble for it. I took too long on it, but yeah, it was Thor. Gosh, I can't remember what. It was a basically was a fill-in issue from what I could gather. But yeah, it was just one issue. But that's actually page 3 and then page 7 and 8. But I made them all like a triple gatefold, so they all fit together.
Wow, was that in the script?
That's efficiency.
No, that was a choice I made.
What's up with Carol Danvers fighting Carol Danvers down there in the corner?
Let me see that again. Hold on.
Yeah, okay, let me see what you're talking about.
Down here under Himdall's
Oh, I see it.
horn.
Yeah.
Oh, that's that was this was during the was it Secret Invasion? That there were two Miss
There's
Marvels.
like a
There was
scroll thing going on there.
There was like the classic Miss Marvel that was part of like the evil Avengers. And then the Miss Marvel we all know and love that happened during that storyline, because that whole thing is kind of a history of Thor kind of thing.
Now
This
we
is
know.
interesting. This is a little process stuff. Since we're probably going to get into drawing, I just wanted to show the fans some of the. So there isn't 2 of these, right, Mark? You're doing it's kind of like a painting where you're laying down the colors first, like a sepia, and then you're coming in and coloring on top of that.
Yeah, well, I mean, with that particular one, that was back when I was only working in black and white.
Okay.
So everything I rendered was in cool and warm Copics, and then I would scan it in and color it in Photoshop.
Oh, color it and change the
I mean,
hues.
it still works that way from time to time now, but nowadays, actually, it was Addy Granoff that talked me into, like, he's like, you're halfway there, just add color to it, and so I started doing that.
How old is this, or is this relatively new?
No, that's pretty old, actually. That's probably 7 years old, 8 years old.
Gotcha.
Yeah, my proportions
Actually,
are much
you
better
always-
now. I
actually, you
realized
always
after I
show the
finished how small her head was.
It's nice that you always show the process stuff online. I know you've done some videos and you talk about working with Copic markers, and to a lot of people, especially aspiring artists at conventions that get booth space, they're doing trading cards and things, and they're using Copics. One thing I found particularly interesting was how you get a very rich black in there, where you use like a blue and a red to combine instead of just using the Copic black.
Yeah, I call it like bouncy black, because if you can go to like the darkest red marker you have, like for me it's this one called peony red, and then my darkest blue, which for me is one called agate, whatever it's called. And if you lay them down, they're very dark. But you still look at them, they're still red. But if you lay one on top of the other, they almost turn black. But the black almost has kind of a sheen to it. So if you're painting or anything, instead of like, just grabbing a Mars black or a flat black or something, especially if it's a soluble pigment, because if you do acrylic, obviously this isn't going to work, because you lay down blue, it dries, you lay down red, the red's just going to go on top of the blue.
Yeah.
But like watercolor or anything like that, if you combine a dark red and a dark blue, it becomes like black. But like I said, it's kind of a bouncy black. So it's not like a just kind of flat color. It gives this really cool dimension where the viewer's eye doesn't know what they're seeing. They think they're seeing black, but there's something richer about it that they see.
Wow. Yeah, the viewers are generally idiots. So,
Damn. Jesus.
well, no, I'm just saying, I agree with Mark. They don't know what they're looking at.
Wow. Hey, Mark, I got to ask you, is it Copic marker or is it Copic marker?
You know what? I'm not going to pretend to know exactly. I've always heard it say as Copic, but
Thank you.
I could be absolutely wrong on that. Yeah.
Joe, you could be absolutely
I
wrong.
just wanted to point out that Dan was saying it wrong. So, but you're absolutely right.
Ben, what do you think? Ben, if you talk to Adam Hughes all the time, then
Yeah, it's Copic. Sorry.
Can
You're
I
the
answer
only
that
human
out?
I know that says Copic.
Next.
It's you. That's it.
God.
Oh.
I love it.
There's probably some viewers that agree with you, but you call them all stupid. So, yeah.
Look, I've had a very long day.
Yes. Oh, right on the heels of you calling viewers stupid, Dan. Oh man.
I wasn't calling. I was agreeing with Mark. I agree with all the guests, just trying to keep them happy. Mark was saying the viewers don't know what they're looking at. They're looking at these little colors or whatever Mark's up to. I don't know. Just trying to make Mark happy so he keeps giving us more information. I'm trying to, how Jeff likes to ask a lot of questions. He's not here right now. I got to do it.
I tell you, I wish he was.
I think that's the case, Dan. I think kombucha.
I was going to say, Dan, are you the Jeff tonight? Is that what's happening?
I'm a bit of a Jeff tonight. You know what? Jeff would drink this, I think, Ben.
No. Well, I mean, he would, but not. It's not his number one choice.
No, Jeff would.
Maybe if there was nothing left in the cupboard.
That's
maybe.
Jeff would just drink the vodka straight. What's the point of the kombucha?
Fair.
Yeah.
Dave, what are you doing there?
I am drawing a weird gangster.
For?
I'm going to make an NFT out of it.
Okay, let's change the subject.
Does he have a mouth?
Have you guys already covered NFTs? Is that what's happening?
Dave's killing the environment, man.
I just.
Did you just kick Dave off the stream?
I took him off the stream. I can't have controversial things.
You're mad with power this evening.
Wow.
Mad with power.
You know what?
Wow.
It's the kombucha, I think, that's driving me a little loony.
It's quite possible.
Yeah.
So, Mark, what are you up to these days besides working nonstop?
Mark?
Well, just like everybody else in the time of COVID, I'm pretty much up to the same thing probably all you guys are, which is sitting at home, ordering a lot of takeout. That's really about it.
Though. I don't mean to get weird on you, but you look pretty fit.
You've been lifting?
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah.
I have not. I mean, I do my morning old man exercises. That's about it.
Morning constitutionals.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I was about to ask you if you like gladiator movies.
Joe, I can't compliment Jeff. If Jeff complimented Mark, nobody would care.
It's more sincere coming from Jeff, though. That's the thing.
I was pretty sincere about that. I noticed it earlier. I wanted to mention
No,
something.
you were being competitive about it, Dan. The tone was competitive. It wasn't like complimentary,
No, it was confrontational. It was a little bit.
Yeah, it wasn't quite confrontational, but it was definitely like you're ready to compare guns.
Well, he does have a shirt that says "The Gun Show."
Well, it's actually a restaurant in Atlanta.
Oh.
Yeah, they take
a lot of guns on this episode. Dave is
Kevin Gillespie. You know who Kevin Gillespie is?
No, I can't say that I do.
He was on Top Chef. I want to say he came in second or he won. I can't remember. But anyway, he's from Atlanta. His whole thing is like cooking meat. CB would know who he is. But he's a big comic fan. But he has this restaurant in Atlanta called Gun Show, and all the T-shirts they sell there, they're all like old metal shirts that he's replaced the name of the band with, Gun Show.
He's repurposed them.
So he's got like,
He's repurposed them.
Yes, he absolutely has. So I have like 4 Gun Show shirts that I'm always nervous to wear in an airport.
Oh, that's probably not a good place, certainly.
Hey, Dan, Can I make a suggestion?
I guess.
I mean, I don't want to upset you with your kombucha, but maybe flip Dave and Mark's tiles so that the watermark's not over Mark's head, because it won't interfere. You can put it over your head. That's fine.
There
you go.
Wait, why would that be over my drawing?
It's just over your
Again, I'm not drawing today. Yeah, put me there because I'm not.
There you go.
When you have an extra space, it's almost like you planned it.
Almost.
Yeah.
We'll put Dave. You've known Mark for how long?
Man, how long have I known you, Mark?
I didn't ask him.
Long enough for Dave. No, it's long enough for Dave to come live with me for 4 days while there's a hurricane ravaging his home in Florida.
Oh God.
That is true.
Mm-hmm.
It was pre.
No, it's over a decade.
Oh, it's easy over a decade. You've known me a decade.
Yeah. So.
Mark, would you?
Yeah, I wish we had hung out more. Or I wish we'd known each other when I was actually living there. The first time around, not the second time.
Well, no, absolutely. Well, I didn't know anybody because I wasn't. I think when you were living here, I hadn't broke in yet. I mean, like the idea of like going to the Gaijin Studios offices for their annual Dragon Con party was just like, holy crap! It was like getting backstage, at the Beatles or something. It was such an amazing thing for me. So I don't think I was at that echelon level yet.
Mark, who would you say your favorite person in comics is? Is it probably Adi?
I would never give him that pleasure of saying that.
But you certainly like him more than you like Dave.
I
right?
like Adi a great deal. No, as far as like who I like, well, I mean, I like everyone more than I like Dave. But Dave, you can't get rid of him. He's always around. So
Damn
you just accept that for what it is.
Dave Johnson, the herpes of comics. Is that what it is?
No, it probably is Addy. Like as far as just people I know. Yeah, I mean, Addy and I always end up kind of like planning our travel schedules around each other, and we're very similar personalities. I'm not quite as angry as him, but we're
what do you think it is about him?
We're similar senses of humor.
Oh. Fair.
Have you guys ever showered together in a gym?
Yeah, what's going on here?
Which
It's like, what did I sign up
time?
for here?
Jeff, glad to see you back with us.
Hi, everyone. Sorry.
To this episode.
I'm very sorry I'm late. Mark's good to see you. Miss you, buddy. Good to see
Hey,
you.
Jeff,
Looking
how you
good?
doing?
I'm doing all right.
Thank you.
I'm very
what are
sorry.
you doing, Jeff?
So I have this top secret gig I've been doing for the military. That
Not that top
involves
secret anymore, is it?
Well, it's not-
now we're all gonna get shot in the head.
right. Now I have to kill everyone.
Great.
Jeff, when it's top secret, you're not supposed to say that.
Right. I've always been bad at that.
No.
So I've been doing this thing, and sometimes I have meetings. And
Yeah, but how late is this meeting? I mean, I'm not calling you a liar, Jeff, but I am going to say this.
Yes, sir.
It's a little late for a meeting.
Well, depending on whose schedule.
Well, the military's up. They're like, we're going to have this meeting. Go past. I don't know. Jeff, let's just have a nice show, okay?
I will try, but the military, Dan, as you may or not have noticed, is 24 hours, 7 days a week, Dan.
Oh, they are?
Do they send you notices that say things will, convene at 0:30 or anything like that?
I do get a preponderance of emails about scheduling.
But do they send you the military time? Do they?
They do actually send it military time.
That's awesome.
Jeff, you were in the military.
I
Me?
was a very, very long time ago.
Oh, Jeff. I thought you said me. What?
No. No, I've never. Come on.
No, yeah. I was actually, as Dan and everyone knows, I was in a propaganda unit, and I made I basically told lies for a living.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not much has
How does that
changed.
differ from
Yeah,
that?
so nothing. I told
Now you're in
stories for the
drinking
military.
draw.
Yeah, no, it's all the same.
But now you spend your time believing Dan's BS.
You think I wouldn't be so foolish, right, Joe?
My God.
Jeff
yeah.
doesn't fall for it too much, honestly.
Yeah. Not only that, as somebody in charge of propaganda, you'd think you'd help promote the show a little bit more. Come on, Jeff.
Yeah. True.
I'm on it right now.
Ah, there you go.
Something.
That's a bit of a promotion. What have you guys? Let me ask you guys a serious question. What have you been asking Mark about? Have you been
I asked
asking
him
him
a
a lot
bunch
of
of stuff.
questions?
Mark, I asked you a bunch of stuff, did I not?
Well,
Before
we
Jeff,
get
it was all the boring stuff like how did you break in? What was your first big break? It was all the boring shit that
Did they do the research? Did they ask you about your particular process working on Star Wars? They ask about that?
No, they didn't. No, Dan actually did a very good job. He actually had some artwork that he pulled up.
All right,
but
no, they didn't.
He couldn't tell you what it was done. It's like, Mark, is this old or is this new? What is this? Great.
Well, that was the Rogue one. I could tell you when I did Han Solo, which Dan didn't realize was the book I did. Oh no, I'm sorry, Dave didn't realize that was the book I did.
Yeah,
I'm old. I forget things.
All right, so I was going to point out that I don't know if you guys have this. So Mark, you and I only got to really hang out at the one show, but you were nice enough to give me this gorgeous sketchbook.
Mark has some of the nicest sketchbooks I've ever seen.
And this is by far one of the best sketchbooks I've ever gotten.
You know what? I think Mark gives them out to other artists to make them feel bad. Like, this is how a sketchbook's supposed to look.
All right. This sketchbook.
Well, I mean, I pay enough for them.
Yeah, it is an inspiration in not only the art inside, but the packaging. It's great. How did you decide to do the spiral thing as opposed to
that's the question.
Stuff?
No, I got to give. There's one company that does all these, and I've got to give J. Scott Campbell full credit. He actually did those spiral bound sketchbooks first.
Okay.
He did two. Yeah, he did two of them the year before, and the same company was. I mean, this company are hustlers. They walk around San Diego with these packages, these beautiful, like laminated, glossy packages that are like, hey, we do sketchbooks. We did J. Scott Campbell's sketchbook, and they're really beautiful. So I have to admit, I used his format. But as far as like spiral bound, the size and everything, but doing like the emboss and the gold and all that stuff. That was just because my ego is massive, and I just need that kind of thing treatment on my book.
So you no longer have a massive ego?
No, it was shot down a long time ago.
I was going to say, because this book merits a pretty big ego. It's very impressive.
Now Jeff,
thanks.
It's got fine Corinthian leather in it.
Look at it.
Joe send you a pretty nice sketchbook?
Joe did, and I have talked about how awesome it was on several occasions.
No, I'm more concerned with what about the one Dan sent you?
Dan sent me a very good sketchbook, and I have mentioned it. And when Dan is the guest on the show, I will bring it up.
But it was just good. He said it was just good. So
well,
Jeff, I have an important question for you.
Okay.
Take a moment here.
Wow, Jeff.
What are your thoughts on kombucha?
Kombucha, and the fact that it's slightly fermented, I like it. I'm a fan of
mix it with vodka?
Probably not.
Probably.
Jeff, I did.
I'm not the biggest kombucha fan. I mean, I appreciate its health effects and whatnot, and I do like that it's mildly alcoholic, but it's not my favorite thing. Right? Yeah, look at that. Look at how good Mark is.
That's a sketchbook. That's a great sketchbook.
That's his freaking sketchbook.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful.
Here's the thing. This is. I have to say, this is super annoying. As an artist, looking at another artist, this is really insulting. How dare you put that in a sketchbook?
Well, I mean, I think the term sketchbook is a very loose term. Those are con sketches. Yeah, there's all the prelims for the Ultimate X-Men stuff.
Yeah, this stuff is glorious. Do you use a lot of photo reference? Are you an out-of-the-head guy? What's your deal?
I use more photo reference now than I used to. I think back to that sketchbook you have, which I think is like 4 years old. I wasn't using any photo reference for that stuff. It was just, it was just why a lot of things look really wonky, and like my buildings are really bad. They're like the what did CD call them? He called them geometry buildings, where it's just like a grid. I didn't
like Butterstick.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I don't know stuff. I know this stuff is amazing, man. I've always
thank you.
It was very generous of you just to give me this, and then I have stolen everything out of it.
Did he sign it for you, Jeff?
Hey,
Yeah, Jeff, I noticed that nothing in
this is one of my
Dan's,
favorites.
nothing in Dan's sketch made you angry like this.
Oh, thanks, man.
That's not true. Dan's drawings make me very angry. Dan did a drawing recently of a train that was very upsetting.
Really? That makes me
Yeah,
happy.
it was a great. I mean, the
Thomas
line
Tank
work.
Engine?
The inking you did on that train was amazing. Look at that.
Did you hear that, Mark?
Well, I'm going to tell you all something, and this is going to close out the ass kissing portion of the evening for me.
I doubt it.
But
Maybe for you, but not for me.
I still
Okay,
got a
maybe
lot
not
more
for you
ass to
guys,
kiss.
all right, I'm not going to kiss you more ass after this, but I will say this: the four of you guys, for various degrees, for various reasons, make me crazy. Like you all make me nuts.
Look at that
Dan, your
Which one of us are you
backgrounds-
leaving out?
madness.
Well, Ben, start drawing. I can include you in there. Dan, your attention to detail, your speed, and your backgrounds are next level amazing. They're unbelievable how well you do those. Dave,
I gotta go.
Dave, you are the best designer in comics, without a doubt.
Damn,
Your cover design is. Now your drawing needs some work, but your cover design is.
I mean, it's fair.
That is fair.
Your design ability is unparalleled. Jeff, your storytelling and your ability to your simplicity of line and ability to convey a message and energy in your work blows my mind. And then lastly, Joe is one of the reasons I ended up breaking into comics. So I had to save him for last because, X Factor and Ash and all those things were like, they were Bibles to me as I was trying to break in. So I'm not going to say any more after this, but I felt like it needed to be said. It's only fair.
Aw.
So you guys have me on here. So,
Thank you.
so I appreciate all four of you guys for, what you do, what you gave to me to be able to break in and do what I love. And, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you.
Well, that's
Now,
very
tell us
nice.
tell us what you really think of Dan, Ben.
That was very nice. That was very sweet. Thank you, man.
It's probably the kindest minute and a half we've had on this.
Pretty much.
that is excellent. So what are you drawing right now, big guy?
This is it's a cover. I really like doing homages. How do you say that? Is it homage?
Ask Dan; he'll know.
Copic.
Yeah.
I think it's an homage. I think it's French.
It's a
Wait.
Right.
The hoe is
So-
silent.
The hoe is always silent.
I really love doing the homages to the old Marvel covers, especially when I get the chance to do like corner boxes. I really love that
Oh,
stuff.
right on.
And I just drew this for fun. It was 5 of the X-Women, but in kind of a rockabilly, kind of like 1950s, 1960s kind of look. They're all kind of leaning on this car, and it's got the corner box with Wolverine looking like kind of a James Dean greaser look, and it's got the old X-Men logo and title on it. So I'm just inking on that. Yeah.
What do you inking? It was like, are you a brush guy, a pen guy?
I'm normally I prefer brush, but the characters are so small on this that I'm actually using Tech Pen for this mostly because I can't get the fine line with the brush that I use. I don't use like sable brushes or anything. I use like the Pentel pocket brush, which is great, but yeah, you can't really get the fine line that I need to be able to get all this.
You know what I just got, Mark? That actually gets a finer line than brush wise from a pocket pen is the Kuretake makes a pocket pen.
Is it the one that looks like a mascara liner?
Yeah, I mean, well, actually, I got two of them. I saw Scotty Young talk about it on his YouTube show. Hang on, let me grab it. And
Is
and I
it
got
this one?
Hang on, it's two different kinds. There's let me see which one you got. There's the brown one. This one. What color is that one?
This one's black.
Okay, yeah. There's this long brown one, which is okay.
Yeah.
But there's an even better one. Hang on a second. Set the front here. Yeah, this is it. It's I'd have to look it up, but essentially it looks like the Pentel, but the trim on it is gold. The point on this is amazing.
Do you think they have that at what's the website?
JetPens had it.
JetPen. JetPens.com.
I think JetPens had this one. Yeah, pretty sure. So, but yeah, Scotty demoed it on his YouTube thing, and I'm like, let me try it. And
I should try that.
Yeah, for a pocket brush pen like that, it does a good job.
Well, this one is a Kuretake as well, and it's a selling point. They model it as it looks like a mascara pen. It's really short compared to other pens.
That'd be all I need.
That's true.
Is that easier on the fingers, like to get such a fine line? Is it less? Do you have to press hard or less hard because it's short?
No, I mean, maybe it's just my old. I'm an old man, and you gets like I get addicted to my tools. I actually would much rather be like a normal size. I don't like the fact that it's as small as it is. But it does give a finer line than the Pentel. I mean, you can get a really fine line with a Pentel, but it just takes a lot more work and focus.
Yeah, that's one of the things I found we talk about how much artists annoy us. Watching Dan go from using just one of his cheap brush pens, getting a super fine thin line to like a big bold line. I've never understood how he did that.
Cheating.
Obviously, there's some sort of deal with the devil, because I've watched him do it for years, but I've never been able to replicate it.
Dan is a magician, and people wonder why I hate Dan. Really hate Dan. It's because I texted him for inking advice a few months ago, and I said I had an issue with control on a particular pen or brush, and Dan said to me, "You don't control the pen; it controls you." And
what a jerk thing to say!
It's a very Yoda thing.
That was it. That's all I got out of him. That's all I got was this sort of like Bruce Lee, be like water crap.
That is not helpful at all.
No,
Jeff, come on.
A million years.
What a jerk.
So, I mean, essentially but you know what? Here's the subtext. Here's what I take away from that. What I take away from that is I don't want to tell you jack crap because I don't want you to learn my techniques, basically.
I have a secret and I'm not sharing it.
Yeah. And I'm not good at sharing.
And
we all know I'm not good at sharing.
Yes, we do know that.
Just his opinions.
Right.
I mean, it was actually very hurt. It was very hurtful.
Agreed.
I will say I love sharing. I love sharing how I do what I do, because I feel like that there's the technique and that there's the supply, but the actual ability comes from just years of practice and what your individual voice is, right?
Yeah.
So I love telling people how I do what I do, but in hopes that they'll try it, and knowing that they'll never get the results that I get. So it makes me look like even more of a magician. Like, oh my God, he told me his secrets and I still can't do it.
Right.
I got to tell you, the artist will remain nameless. Good friend of mine, and I had done just sort of this digital tutorial on Twitter or something where I just showed a bunch of stuff, and I saw him at a bar and he was yelling at me. He's like, "Why are you giving away the secrets to the magic trick?" And blah blah blah. And I'm like, I don't know. I find it fun to kind of demystify the process for other artists out there, because they're going to do their own thing anyway. But I remember as a kid, watching artists do stuff on, there used to be a guy named John Nagy on who was sort of a very, very early version of Bob Ross. He had a show that was like, I think in the late 50s. And when I was growing up, they were showing reruns of it. And I would watch him draw and I would get frustrated because I couldn't figure out how he did it. Not realizing that, the guy had like 50 years experience and, a garbage pail full of sketches and stuff. And he was showing you how to do it, but not necessarily demystifying it. But I think that's kind of the cool thing about when you do your process stuff, Mark, is that people could see it, right? They can't necessarily do it because you have years of mastery behind you, but it gives people something to shoot at, and they realize that especially if you're a budding artist, right? There's a frustration level where an artist will just go. There's a point where they may just go, screw it, this is too hard. I don't ever want to do this again, right? And maybe a career goes out the window. But if you could show them, look, this is how hard it actually is to do. It's not like I started in the left-hand corner and end at the right. Then maybe they could find that level of like, okay, I got to work hard to get this because it's not easy. It's not easy for the pros. It's certainly not going to be easy for me. So guys like Dan, when they say, crap like he does, like the pen controls you, that's not helpful at all.
It's not helpful. It's really not helpful. I was learning. So I studied Aikido for a really long time, and my instructor's instructor was a 74-year-old man, and he was he'd been doing martial arts since like the early 50s, and he was a badass. And at one point, he was talking about being invisible and slipping from place to where you couldn't really be seen, and to not telegraph your techniques. And I asked him, like, well, how do you be invisible? How do you do that? And he goes, you just become less important than the things around you. Huh. And I thought, like, what an asshole thing to say. Like, what does that even mean?
Right.
And I have struggled with that Zen statement for 20 years.
I think I understand exactly what he means.
Yeah,
I mean, now I gotta get a handle on it, but like, he's like, because he said it's like, oh, it's so simple. You just become less important than the things around you.
Jeff, I'll explain it to you later.
I wish someone would, Joe. Someone has to.
Or better yet, Dan will explain it to you.
Jeff, are you drinking out of a vase?
I am drinking
the size of your head.
A vase of mead.
Vase of mead.
Looks like it came with a pillar candle in it or something.
Exactly. I'm old school. If I could get an old horn to drink out of, I would.
Well, who would
be able to find one on a hike?
Yeah.
A hike.
Or Dan like to say a Gal Gadot.
Look, listen. I don't believe in hikes. Mark, maybe help me out on this. I'm going to stop drawing because now I'm really upset. Okay, a hike. Everybody likes to talk they like to throw the word hike out a lot. Unless you're on a trail that requires like gear and you might fall, is dangerous. That's a hike. But if you're just going on a walk and there's a built-in trail, that's a walk. That's a walk.
I'm going to say that I agree with you, Dan, absolutely, because I don't think that I never go on a walk unless my plan is to get somewhere.
Yeah.
So the idea that I'm going to start at my car, go for a walk, and end at my car, I'm like, what is the point of this?
I hear that.
Right.
So you agree with Dan that it's a walk.
Right.
Well, it's a walk.
So Dan, let me ask you, Dan. Dan, do you ever go for a run?
Not in years.
Right, but what do you consider a run? What do you consider a run, Dan?
I would consider what I used to do running.
Which is what? Walking fast?
No.
Yeah.
Look, Jeff, back me up.
I would say Dan doesn't go on a run unless Dan is being chased. Or Dan is escaping.
Yeah.
The only time here's a real story. The only time I've ever seen Dan actually run, and I've known him since we were 22, is when we were both trying to catch a southbound train on the way to Mexico.
Right.
That's true.
Well, Dan claims he's very fast, Jeff.
Oh, no, we were moving pretty quickly. We just didn't catch the train.
Right. Were you out running Dan, though?
No, Dan is quick on his feet. I don't know what his distance is like, but his sprint's pretty good.
Thank you.
It's surprising as short as his legs are.
Yeah, I know. Well,
nearly a Laputan.
I mean, I guess in a way, Ben, that's even it's even more impressive when you can move those little legs so quickly.
It's like a corgi,
Yes.
All right, that does it. That does it. All right, look at this.
Oh, thank you.
Why would you look? Here's a picture of Joe and I standing right next to him. Is this I'm like a Laputan?
Isn't you don't run with your biceps?
Well, but Joe's also like bending at the waist and at the knee. He's clearly taken a good 6 inches out of his height in this photo.
All right, I'm going to pretend none of this is happening, and I'm going to ask Mark a couple questions. Is that cool?
That's fine.
Oh God.
It's probably
I'm actually interested. So, Mark, I love your work, but I really liked your Star Wars stuff, and you were really like, how did you deal with the likenesses and the ships and stuff? Because I've done some Star Wars work, and I found that to be super difficult.
Likenesses, I realized that if you can figure out 2 or 3 things of a person's face, that you can bullshit the rest of it. I'm sorry, BS the rest of it. Sorry, Joe.
Great.
It's all right. Dave ruined our rating already.
Yeah, ruined it already. Yeah, I mean, you just kind of figure out like Harrison Ford's nose is crooked, and the scar on his face, and kind of the general shape of his, like how the space between his eyebrows and his eyes. I mean, once you figure that out, I mean, if you look at my Han Solo stuff, it doesn't look like Harrison Ford. It looks like a proximity to Harrison Ford, maybe.
Right.
And that seems to be enough. As far as ships go, SketchUp is a beautiful thing.
There you go.
Yeah. SketchUp is great. Did you build your own SketchUp models? You have someone do them for you? Did you go into deep detail on them?
Yeah, I built them myself. I won't say that I designed every aspect of the ship. I went into SketchUp, and some of the stuff I designed, and other things I like found a proximity to it and kind of Frankenstein them together. And it was a huge time saver. So I think I realized I did a count. At the end of that issue, I think I had drawn the Millennium Falcon 300 times, almost 300 times.
God, it's such a complicated ship.
No, it really is. But SketchUp is such a, oh my God, just saved me so much time. I can't imagine how long it would have taken me otherwise.
Yeah.
So you're a cheater.
SketchUp is just, it's a tool. It's like using a ruler nowadays. It's just a tool.
I'm just kidding with you.
Yeah.
Mark, speaking of SketchUp, did you see that? I mean, there's somebody who was doing like a Millennium Falcon project where they were literally building the ship in super detail.
Yes.
You know,
I actually follow that blog. I follow his blog.
Amazing.
It's really cool. I mean, that takes all kinds of balls to do something like that. It's the kind of thing as a kid, you're like, when I'm an adult and make money, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And of course, you know, as an adult, I'm never going to do that. But the idea that somebody is just, it's really impressive.
Yeah.
Wait, it's life size?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's life size, Dave. That'd be like, come on.
taller than Dan.
It'd be bigger than me. Wait, hey! Walk right into that.
So doing the Star Wars stuff, Mark, was there a part of it that did you like doing the spaceship stuff? Did you like doing the machinery, or did you have more fun with the characters? Was there something in particular you really enjoyed about it?
I enjoyed all of it. I mean, like, I hadn't done sequential work at that point. I probably hadn't done sequential work in 3 or 4, maybe 5 years. And CB texted me one afternoon. He was like, would you ever consider coming back to sequential work? And I said, I replied back to somebody else. I
never got anything messages like that.
Well, luckily I knew CB since before he became, EIC.
Yeah.
But yeah, he texted me and said, would you be interested? And I said, sure. It depends on what the project is and what the time frame is, because, as everyone's well aware, I am a pretty slow artist. And he replied back and he said, Han Solo. And I was like, oh man, I'm so down. Because they are Han Solo and Chewbacca are my 2 favorite Star Wars characters, and the Millennium Falcon is my favorite sci-fi ship of all time.
Yeah.
And so, I really wanted to do it. So, and luckily there was enough time built into it where, granted, I should have gotten it finished before I did. It took me 9.5, 10 months to do 5 issues, but it allowed me the amount of time, and Marvel was cool enough to I think 1 issue got pushed because of me. Maybe more than that. My memory may be failing me, but yeah, Marvel was really cool about giving me the time to do it and finish it, and really proud of it.
Well, that work is really amazing. It's great. I remember that stuff was coming out, and I having drawn that stuff before, I thought you did a remarkable job with it.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, Al Williamson was my spirit animal on that. Book.
Yeah. Can you imagine drawing a lot of that stuff just from the occasional still you got sent and memory?
Right? Seriously. I mean, even his like newspaper strips, which he was pumping out one a day.
Yeah.
The amount of detail and work that went into it, it's unbelievable. I mean, every time if someone brings it up, I'll hear, it reminds me of Al Williamson, and I'm like, thank you.
Yeah, no, his stuff is definitely an inspiration when it comes to all that work. Do you have hang on just one second, let me get another piece of art to show off.
All right, quick, Dan. You can talk now.
Me?
Yeah.
How about Dave?
I don't think Dave has a working microphone.
I'm just enjoying the the interview.
How's that mouth on the ear coming? Is it an eye or an ear?
It's a mouse.
Just another mouth. Yeah, on the side of his head, though.
Duh. Come on, Ben. Get with the
And
program.
there's eyeballs inside his mouth. You're a little grainy there. It's hard to see. There you go.
You know me. I like weird shit. Oops. Sorry.
I've been told.
All right.
Oh, Jeff's back.
Dave, that's super cool. Hey, do you have this, Mark?
No, I don't. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, no, I don't have it because it's not for sale anymore. You have to buy it aftermarket.
Oh, it's so amazing.
I know. I've seen it before. I know what it is, and
Yeah.
I would love to have a copy, but I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet because it's quite pricey if you want to get it right now.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
That's old drink and draw money.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's that big drink and draw money we're talking about.
Hey, Jeff. Mark's a guest. You should send it to him.
He's a guest, and I will definitely send him some copies of it.
Oh.
I will take scans and share it with him for sure. So how were the when you were doing that work, Mark? And I know I'm gonna harp on the Star Wars stuff. Mm-hmm. How were the notes?
Oddly enough, almost non-existent.
Well, that's great.
That was never Jeff's experience.
That was 100% not my experience working on Star Wars stuff.
No, I think the only time was there was a Lorianu who was one of the racers in the book. She was a new species for in the Star Wars lore, and I guess anything that goes into the Marvel comics is automatically canon. And so, having to design this new character, they were we did a little back and forth when it came to her. But other than that, I mean, I'm trying to think if I ever got any kind of pushback at all, and I really didn't. Everything just kind of went very smoothly, and I don't know whether it was just maybe they've loosened up over the years, or maybe my pages came in so late they're just like, we don't have time, it's approved, it's fine.
I mean, it could also be that your pages were awesome and that you didn't need any notes, unlike my pages, which needed tons of notes. Yeah, I did, and it was just a coloring book. I did a coloring book, and I did a few issues, and in general, I think that one of the notes I got was that my characters did not look. Princess Leia did not look proud enough.
Oh wow!
Yeah. It was a very complicated. It was a very upsetting note because I didn't know what it meant, and I didn't know how to fix it.
What? Let me ask you something. When you were doing Star Wars stuff, was that pre Disney buyout?
Oh yeah.
Mark, I mean, you weren't even born.
I mean, that may
Dan,
have something to do with
Greg's
it.
back wasn't out yet.
I do feel like they loosened up a little bit once Disney bought them. I mean, there were still some things that went into play. Yeah, it seems that way to me. I mean, because it wasn't just Han Solo. I mean, I did covers for Vader, Star Wars, and Leia, and a few other things. And I mean, there were some definite rules, like no slave Leia, couldn't use Boba Fett because I guess obviously because Mandalorian, but at the time no one knew why. But Boba Fett was like off limits.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, it seems like the horror stories I was hearing about approval processes seem to kind of like just, at least for me and some of the others I talked to, really didn't exist. You know what? I tell you this though, it did seem like the more cartoony and stylistic the artist is, the more pushback they got.
Interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what it seemed like to me. Talking to other artists, like if they were like, you know, like Humberto Ramos, who is miles better than me, but because his stuff was so stylized, he's the kind of artist that would give some pushback. Whereas, you know, realistic guys just generally don't, and normally if they do get pushbacks, it's like, you know, oh, it's too sexy, or, you know, whatever. There's some kind of like canonical thing that may have been, you know, affected.
Hey, Mark, I want to ask you a question that's become sort of a tradition here on Drink and Draw. Have you ever in your history in comics seen a comic, been a part of a comic, read a comic where the inker got top billing over a penciler?
Yeah. I mean, has that ever happened to you, Mark?
That's a sore spot with Jeff.
Because as far as we could tell, that's only really happened once in the history of comics. Once.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Not a great question.
I mean, you've had a fantastic career, Mark. You've done a lot of different projects. It seems like you've seen a lot. You're a very experienced artist. Have you ever heard of such a travesty?
Travesty.
An affront, if you will.
I have never heard of that happening that I can think of, but I guarantee it's. I feel like answering this is one of those things where I answer, and then people start naming things, and I'm like, oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that. Oh yeah, that.
Yeah, you know what, Mark, I got to tell you, I'm sort of with you here. I mean, you know, I was editor-in-chief for over 10 years. I've been at Marvel much longer than that, and I've seen comics come, I've seen comics go. I've been reading them for a very long time. In my, you know, I can only recall it happening once.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, there's a few days you missed. You probably had some sick days, Joe.
So when did this happen? Now I'm curious to know what this example is.
So my theory is that Dan slipped the editor of the X-Men an undisclosed amount of money, and he put Dan's name over mine as the inker.
You know,
I mean, that's what I think happened. And Dan's
probably one of those things, Jeff, like the inker gets kind of shafted and overlooked for years. And they're like, you know what? Because Marvel's so wonderful about this. They're like, we're going to do the inker a solid just this once.
So what you're saying, this was an over, like the pendulum swinging back towards the inker.
Exactly.
And it happened to be on our boat.
The universe correcting itself.
This is a make good to inkers, all the inkers in history through the body of Dan Panosian, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happened once. It happened to be on your X-Men book.
It just happened to be on my X-Men book, a book that some might say I worked my whole career to try and get.
Yeah.
The X-Men. I mean, and then have second billing. You know, it's cool. I mean, whatevs. We're friends.
I mean, look at it that way, but you know, Mark seems like the type of guy who probably wouldn't look at it that way.
You know, I think Mark would probably be very magnanimous about, like, listen, mistakes happen, things happen. I am comfortable in my own power as an artist. I don't need billing.
I mean, it happens to all of us. I mean, the number of times I've been miscredited or not credited on things. It's part of life. I mean, there's an entire 3-issue Darth Vader run that Kari Andrews did that literally every issue for 3 months was credited to me as the cover artist.
Ooh, I like that.
Wait. So you got credit for his work?
For 3 months.
Fantastic.
Not just 1 month. 3 months. He did 3 Star Wars covers, and they're all great. And people bring him up to me to sign, and I'm like, I'm sorry, this isn't me. This is Kari Andrews. His name is in the corner of the cover. I mean, you know.
How's Kari feel about it?
I would definitely sign those.
Well, I mean, in that particular case, I get asked to sign Dave Johnson stuff all the time, and I happily do it.
As well, you should.
Yeah,
It'll save
I'm
you,
like,
though.
yes. I drew this. I drew this awesome piece of Batman. I'll happily sign this picture.
Remember, Jeff? We barely knew Dave, and he was doing all the covers for the backups we were doing on Detective.
I always thought that was really funny that even though we weren't really great friends at that point, that we eventually became great friends. That we'd already worked on a book together.
Yeah. Dave never felt the same.
Like the universe pulled you guys together.
It's one of those temporal anomalies, like anomalies. There we go. That the universe already knew that we were going to be great friends.
Yeah.
Well, I did kind of purposely infect your friendships.
But those covers were great, dude. And I have to say, Dan, not great stories that we did.
No.
we definitely were the weak links in that chain.
Yeah, I mean, looking back, that's like some great. Who was doing it? Was it Martin? Sean Martinborough?
Sean Martinborough. Yeah.
Yeah, he was doing the interiors and the big story, and you and I were doing our little backup.
The reprint royalties must be great, right?
Thanks to Sean,
yeah. I mean, it's pretty awesome. I think I did just get a check for $100.
See, there you go, man.
Yeah,
just get in Detective Comics and enjoy the retirement.
I don't know. Has that stuff ever been reprinted, though, Jeff? Honest, all kidding aside, who would reprint that?
No, that stuff doesn't really come up. But I did just get a check from DC. Every once in a while, like old Green Lantern stuff gets reprinted.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever got Dave Johnson's check?
I have not gotten Dave Johnson's check, but I have on many occasions gotten Dave Johnson's comics.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, maybe that explains some things, Dave.
Yeah,
there you go.
Maybe all your comps are going to.
I mean, I've gotten a bunch of Dave Johnson comps, but that's just the deal. When you're a brother from another mother.
That's right.
Do you ever wish you had a brother, Mark?
I do have a brother.
Oh.
See, here's the real problem, Mark. Dan will not do the research.
Yeah. Pretend that didn't happen, Mark.
Has done zero research. So Mark, as a fan, what are you working on right now?
As a fan?
You mean like career-wise, like what's on my plate?
Yes.
Yeah. Me as a fan of your work, what are you doing now?
I am the cover artist on Fantastic Four, so I'm doing that.
Officially?
That's officially. I've been doing it now for what? I'm on this year. I'm drawing the 11th cover now, so I've been doing it a while. And I'm doing some stuff. I got a few different Marvel projects on the docket that are just like one-off covers. I think I'm gonna do another cover for what's Peach Momoko's book, X-Men Demon Days.
Sweet.
Yes, I'm doing another one for that. That was a lot of fun. And I just had an X-Men gig today. I'm very excited about. Huh?
No, I'm just kidding. She's such a sweet girl.
She really is.
She is so kind. That is such a nice, happy, good person.
Must be very foreign to you.
Well, I don't subscribe to that sort of.
It's really strange too because
yeah.
If you look at Peach's, her Marvel work and comic work, it's very that kind of like watercolory anime. It's really pretty. But if you look at her pen and ink work, she does some really deep, dark, disturbing stuff. It's beautiful. But I mean, definitely not for the mainstream. It's very, very different. But it's when you meet her, I know Peach very well. We visit them when we go to Japan and stuff, and she's such a sweet, kind of like humble, quiet, person. But then you see some of her artwork, and it's like eyeballs being split open with this disembodied corpse coming out of it. It's just really funky stuff, but it's beautiful.
Wild.
Yeah. Take that, Jeff.
I mean, I'm not any good at that stuff.
You don't like violence.
I mean, I don't actually. I like the metaphor and the dance of martial arts and combat and stuff, but I've never been really good at drawing any kind of gore. I'm not.
Tried?
I have. I'm just not good at it. Like everyone has their skill sets, and I just am not really good at it.
I think you should try tonight, right now.
Yeah, right now I'm gonna draw some disembowelment right now.
Good.
Yeah. So, Mark, are you gonna
I'm
be
not a huge fan.
mostly? Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry. Well, see, I'm not a big
I was-
fan of the gore stuff, but I do love it on the occasion. Like, Olivia Coipel drawing, who was it? Ripping Ares in half,
Oh yeah.
or Leinil Yu drawing Hulk ripping Wolverine in half, and like you see like the entrails and all that. It's,
Yeah.
I think that I think it's great when used, responsibly and smartly for like maximum impact.
Totally.
It's a really cool thing, and I wish I was better at it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I respect that
One
stuff.
thing. It's surprisingly difficult. There's like, look at Ryan Otley. I mean, that guy.
Oh, he's amazing at it.
Yes. You just the way that guy depicts gore.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very special skill. Like, I have found I just don't like. I could do like maybe blood splatter or something like that, but like the really violent stuff, I can't picture it. I can't see it, and so I mean, I just don't draw it very well. But yeah.
Ryan Otley takes his own reference. Just he just hadn't been caught yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the best serial killer ever.
Yeah. He's our Dexter.
Yeah.
He's the Dexter of
100%.
comics.
If you think about it, it really is. If you're drawing stuff like that, there was a time when I was in high school that I thought I might want to be a medical illustrator.
Wow.
Basically every time you look at a textbook,
Like
you
Adam
see,
Hughes.
right. But yeah, I thought about that for a while. But like if you're doing things like, blood and gore and things like that, I mean, it really is the epitome of drawing organic.
Yeah.
It's there's a method to drawing like organized chaos that I think that few people can do, at least, because I always say with comics, it's like, they're like, oh, you have to be able to draw everything. It's like, no, I don't have to be able to draw everything. I have to be able to know that I can draw everything. Like, I don't need to be able to think, oh, I've drawn everything, therefore I know how. I just have to have the confidence and the practice to know, okay, I've never drawn this before. I can figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Whereas gore doesn't seem to be really a figure out how to do it. It seems like that really does require practice.
I would 100% agree with that. Like the idea of deconstructing the human body to that degree requires a level of attention and study that I just haven't done.
Joe,
Right.
what do you think about that? Are you a gore guy? Do you like horror movies?
No, and actually, I'm a big proponent that horror actually doesn't really work in comics.
Whoa.
It does. I don't think it does. I mean, I think suspense does. I think suspenseful horror can, but that's only through the narrative of comics. But I think the reason it doesn't work in comics the way it works in movies or any sort of movies or TV is because you can't control the timing. The reader controls the timing.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult. You can't shock someone with the killer who's standing behind the victim kind of thing, the person behind the door, because the reader turns the page and there is no shock value to that. So horror is really, really difficult. Again, it can be done through the narrative, right? You can creep people out through the writing, but at least me personally, I've never been, have any of you guys actually been like horrified by a comic? Oh my God.
I mean, I find that Bernie
Yes,
Wrightson.
absolutely.
Bernie Wrightson.
I never have. What was that?
Wrightson.
I think Wrightson's stuff is beautiful. I've never been horrified by Bernie's stuff.
Yeah,
think
I would
he
say
draws-
I've been
I think he
creeped
draws
out and
beautiful
maybe-
horror, but I've
Yeah.
never turned to Bernie page and gone, oh my God, I didn't expect that coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe,
That's not
Joe,
fair on
have
Bernie.
you ever
It's
read
the genre.
Spiral?
What was that?
Have you ever read Spiral?
No.
Who did that?
Spiral's a.
Mark.
I can't remember his name. I'm going to look it up right now.
I'm
Spiral
looking
is it's a Japanese manga,
Right.
And it is one of the scariest, creepiest things I've ever read. And Joe, I agree with you for the most part. But I think that, like you said scare and creepy. And I really feel like that Spiral is one of those books that majority of it is creepy, but it's one of those books that when you finish reading it, it sticks to you so much that it's kind of a long-lasting scare, not a boo scare.
No, but again, I think that's the kind of stuff that, I mean, it's the same thing that happens in novels, right? Although I think novels, Stephen King does a better job of it through novels than comics can. It's just because comics is that mixture of narrative and visual, and horror is one of those things that just does not work really, really well. Where on the contrast, humor works very, very well, right? You could, especially because you could control the short gags through the timing of the panels and stuff, and the visuals. But horror is just, I mean, like I said, me personally, I've been creeped out by some comics, absolutely creeped out. But most of that comes through the narrative, and what the writer is telling. I mean, Alan Moore did it really great as well, but it wasn't the same kind of effect as going to a classic horror movie and getting the crap scared out of you.
Yeah,
right, like no
I
jump scare.
I think that sort of like turned the page. Like the reveal is a powerful tool in comics, but it doesn't have the same impact as when you combine in a film the quiet and then someone looking over the shoulder and then there being suddenly a guy there.
Yeah,
right.
But
I would agree with that.
There's a sequence in Spiral where a guy is in an apartment building and he sees an apartment building across the street, and it's actually a little ways away, and he sees a woman being killed.
Whoa!
And the creature that's killing the woman all of a sudden looks out the window at him, and he freaks. He's like, and then the creature leaves the apartment, and then you see the creature coming across the road.
Wait a minute.
And then you see the creature at his door, like you could see the light underneath the door, and it is the creepiest sequence I've ever seen in a comic. It weirded me out.
So you're disagreeing with Joe, one of our regulars. That's what it sounds like. That's how I'm taking that.
Yeah. I definitely think that's certainly creepy. I find like Joe, like comedy, I think is very much in that same ballpark where it's difficult to pull off a gag. Like it works better.
It's certainly harder to do in comics than in media, but I think it can. Yeah. It definitely works in comics. I mean, I have literally laughed out loud at certain comic scenes that
like
were
an LOL situation,
and sometimes scenes that were actually meant to be funny.
Yeah, right. Well, that was one of the things that I really tried to do in Way of the Rat, but I found that Kevin McGuire did very well in those old Justice League comics.
Yeah,
and it was the combination of his visual timing, but then also his expression, and then the gag itself. It's tricky.
Listen, some of the greatest humor ever, I think, was and is in Garth Ennis books, right? Real black humor, but man, there were moments in Preacher where it was shocking, it was creepy, and at the same time, I couldn't stop laughing.
Effing hilarious. Totally agree. Yeah.
I'll say the funniest comic in the last 20 years is Next Wave.
Oh, Next Wave was a riot.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had plenty of comics that made me laugh. I've had comics that made me cry. I've never had a book that made me like guffaw laughing. And that's one of those books like that. Kind of like there was a couple of moments in Next Wave that was just uncontrollable. My side hurts. I can't. I have to like put it down and I think I've got control of myself and pick it back up and start laughing again.
Yeah, Next Wave did that. I think also
so good.
I think Garth and Steve's Punisher. There were moments.
Oh yeah, that stuff was transcendental.
Yeah, I was just talking to Jimmy the other day. I don't know. We were talking the other day about like Jimmy owns the page where I think where the Punisher punches a bear's head off or something like that. It was just so absurd, but so hysterical.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever read the Rawhide Kid series?
Yeah.
The relaunch?
Well, yeah, it was the writer from Howard Stern,
Ron Zimmerman.
Yeah, I did the first cover for it, and that John Severn drew it, and that was by far one of the funniest comics I'd read in years.
I was editor in chief for that.
That was so.
And
funny.
you hired Dave?
What was that?
And you hired Dave? That's interesting.
No, Dave read it.
Oh,
No, they did cover it.
they did the cover.
And you let Dave read it?
You know, did Dave even read it? Yeah, comedy.
Hey, real quick, I just want to make one recommendation as far as creepy comics. There was a comic called The Biologic Show by Al Columbia, and to this day, it's one of my favorite all-time horror comics. It's so freaking weird and so beautifully done. It's amazing, and I think they're coming out with a reprint of the two issues as one entity. And if trust me on that, it's one of the coolest things you will ever see. So anyway,
Excellent.
This has been a Dave Johnson moment.
all right,
I
I'm
will
going back to
say-
shutting up.
I like that moment. That's a good. That's an excellent recommendation.
Well,
I will
I'm
say
done,
there was a
everybody,
point.
So, good night. No, I'm just kidding.
I barely see Sammy's glass eye in that. I don't know.
I don't know. Can
So,
you?
so Dan, you're drawing the Rat Pack. That looks amazing.
Thank you. I'm going to
Good
add
likenesses.
some pencil to this. It's not a Copic. It's not a Copic. It's a
Good
pencil.
job. Good job.
Yeah. So,
I like that. Dave, I saw that you were doing a monster. I didn't get a close look. I was doing my own drawing. What was that? What's that guy?
Oh, I just made him up.
Oh, okay.
But I needed two frames. One where he's in complete shadow and it's going to be very low lit. And then the one that I did the first round was him firing the gun, so the lighting changes.
why,
awesome.
why did you need to do two frames? I don't understand.
Because I'm going to animate it
For what?
for an NFT.
NFT.
That's it. Remove.
I love that. That's excellent. I am not animating anything.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't want controversy. Oh, no. Ben!
What do you think?
what
About this?
Hold it still, Jeff. Hold it still. There we go.
Jack
Oh,
of
nice.
Hearts.
Jack of Hearts. See, Dan, you recognized him.
Of course, I love Jack of Hearts.
Everyone loves Jack of Hearts.
It's a very hard character to draw. Of course you would draw him.
He's
Not-
quite complicated. I don't know why I did this.
Yeah,
this
that's
is
why
so-
he's
I
dead.
love that. Nobody commissioned you, right? You're just insane.
Not smart. That's for sure. Not smart.
Do you know who did a great Jack of Hearts and always on model? Bob Hall.
Yeah, Bob Hall did a great job. George Freeman did a great job.
Oh, yeah. I
Keith
forgot.
Pollard. Keith Pollard did a good job.
Absolutely.
Keith Pollard.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
He's a really complicated character to get all the details right, but I just love his costume.
So you're glutton for punishment.
Yeah,
He
I mean,
definitely is.
yeah, we all. That's not a surprise for anyone, is it?
Yeah.
Joe, are you working on anything tonight?
I'm actually working on work.
Work.
You know,
Oh.
I'm in the middle of doing this fight sequence thing, so I'm just trying to.
So it's
Oh, cool.
unshowable work.
It's not. This isn't necessarily unshowable because it doesn't give away any characters, but it's not quite ready yet. Actually, I'll show you. Hang on. Give me a second. Give me a second. Come back to me
All
now.
right.
All right.
Give him a moment.
Fine.
There's a lot of
Speaking of-
pressure on this show.
Speaking of fight scenes, I know that Joe and I would talk a little bit about storytelling and whatnot over the last year or so. And one of the things you talked about was the rhythm and flow, and also a musicality to the fight scenes and to the storytelling. Do you think about that when you're drawing an action scene like that? Is there a where you're at? Are you at the crescendo? Or are you with the opening of the fight scene? Like, do you think about what you're the music as you're drawing it?
In this case, Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this particular scene. I got my screen up now, Ben. If you want to show it.
1 second.
There we go. Okay. So yeah. So I'm trying to. I'm laying out this. I don't have all the panels of the page done yet. I'm just trying to choreograph the fight scene, but I've got a page where I'm going to be opening up with this is a hold up. There's a stick up, right? And there's going to be a guy here pointing a gun at a store owner. He's going to have his hands up. And in the background, it's like a little bodega in Harlem. In the background, there's a sort of a kid who's just sort of sweeping up the floor while this guy is sticking up this guy. And then somewhere in here, there'll probably be an inset panel maybe where I want this guy to notice the kid. So he'll, turn, sort of this way and like, huh? And then the script calls for the kid to take this guy out and then disarm him and then point his own gun at him. And I won't say what happens after that because, that's part of the cool part of the story. So I started earlier today with the guy sort of, there's a photo ref there that I'm using, right? So I started there today with this guy and this photo ref has to be changed because I got to get rid of that jacket and you'll see why in a second. But anyway, has some energy drawings there. I got the kid. I added this photo ref, but they don't quite live in the same world for me. So I got to kind of fix it. And also, I don't want this guy in the jacket and stuff. I altered that. But here, the kid, grabs him in this sort of like Jeffy would bring a shit, this sort of judo kind of hold. You could tell me if it looks real to you or not.
It looks good to me.
Yeah,
he's on the right side.
Yeah, and what was that?
He's definitely moving the right way.
Yeah, I'm just saying that. So here, and this will be the next panel, which is where the kid flips the dude over here, right?
Nice.
And then next panel is sort of this takedown. Now, but the other thing that's got to happen here is that in doing this, I have to figure out a couple of things, and one of them is that this hand has been disarmed, so this gun is probably going to be somewhere in the air here,
right?
And then in this particular panel, the kid is going to grab the gun, so we get that. And then the next panel after that. So right now I'm not even working in panel structure. I'm just working in the actual beats of this thing. So I could get that down.
Trying to figure out the choreography.
Yeah. And then, and then basically what's going to happen after that is that, we're going to be in this moment now when then the kid's got the gun and now he's just going to be aiming it down at the dude, and then our next panel will be the dude begging, "Oh my God, don't shoot me!" Blah blah blah. So it's kind of what I'm just trying to work out right now. But because it's like a real choreographed scene, I'm breaking it down into the panels and then figuring out into the actual movements. I kind of know what happens before the kid does the takedown and after the kid does the takedown. But it's I had like 5 or 6 different ways of doing that takedown. So.
That's nice. That looks authentic. That's good. I mean, I personally love that stuff. The attention to detail of how the bodies move and twist. I always find that to be.
I'm happy with this drawing. I'm really kind of happy with the energy of this. You know what I mean? Especially coming off of that. Coming off of the twist. But I just have to sell it. I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
needs sound effects.
Yeah. I don't use speed lines, so sound effects become
yellow marker, things like that.
Yeah, yellow marker there.
Mark, do you use speed lines?
I try not to,
Yeah.
but I definitely have used them. They're a very good cheat to imply motion. But yeah, I put up I did a piece I've been working on and off last few days. It's kind of a warm up of this. I did a kind of a giant robot version of the tortoise and the hare, and I put it up today. It's on Facebook, where I didn't necessarily use motion lines as much as I tried to create motion into the ground.
Yeah.
So that I really wanted to give like a really good indication of speed. But yeah, I know they're a cheat, and I kind of grew up with kind of the manga anime thinking that was the hot shit to draw. So I definitely got into it for a while, but I do my best not to do much of it these days.
Yeah. It's one of those rules that I set for myself. Literally from the very, very first day I started drawing in comics, I will never use speed lines. Just not even because I'm like against speed lines. Some people do it well, and it was just sort of a challenge. Can you make something appear like it's moving, without speed lines? That's why I tend to design a lot of characters that have, a lot of blousy and strappy things.
I was going to say, like a great fix for that is a scarf, or
wrap, jackets and billowy jackets and things like that. But it was it's just one of those things, like watching Frank Miller do it and stuff. It's like that. Especially Dark Knight, there's so much movement in that, and there's no speed lines in there. And by the way, I also don't consider, sort of the anime or manga energy lines that they put in the backgrounds. I don't necessarily consider those speed lines. I tend to enjoy those. I don't do them a lot anymore, but I experimented with it a little bit. Those energy lines, but those are kind of cool. But if you can't, to me, the challenge is like, can you really can you give, because I think if you could do without the speed line, it's so much more effective and it feels more 3D in that 2D world.
One of the cheats that I always use, and I know that it's a cheat, but it never really saved much time, is that I love doing the ghost image of showing. Yeah. I mean, I saw John Romita Jr. do it when I was a kid, and I just always thought that was the coolest thing ever. And so it is amazingly cool, and I'm too damn lazy to do it. It's a lot of drawing, man. But with your animation background, I could see that being the case. Yeah, no, I definitely get it. I love getting into it, but it's a huge pain. It's a pain in the butt, but it just looks so cool.
Yeah, when it's done well, it's so great. So Dan, who do you got there? You got Frank.
Let's see. I got Frank. I don't know who the Rat Pack people are.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Even your dog's mad at you.
No, this right now I'm working on Joey Bishop.
Wow, so you're giving Joey Bishop more importance than Dino and Sammy?
No, they're right there. They're all together.
Joey Bishop seems a little more prominent there.
Well, I mean, look at him. The guy doesn't get enough credit.
I don't know. I love Sammy. Sammy was the best.
Sammy was
pretty awesome.
Where's my son? Oh, what's that?
Sammy, the Candy Man.
Yeah,
Candyman can, because he mixes it with love.
It makes the world go round.
It does. It does indeed. So,
Mark, what's your takeaway from this evening with us?
Yeah. Mark, can we see what you were drawing? I didn't get an actual good look at it.
Oh, I'm just working on Rogue right now. I don't know if you can see her.
Oh, damn! Very nice.
So thank you. I'm much slower than you guys. This is when Dan said, "Do you want to come on?" I said, "I'll come on," but you guys, it's almost like you do this for a living. How fast you all are, and I'm like slow and methodical, and so I was like, I'm happy to come on. I want to come on, but I every week you guys put up what you worked on this week, and
not me, Mark, not me. Mark, I'm like you. I take my time.
Yeah,
thank you.
And I do it right the first time.
Quality over quantity, man. Quality over quantity.
Yeah, the key is not caring.
Jeff, are you gonna call this quality? You're just gonna come out and
what? No,
I'm gonna call that quality. I'm gonna go ahead on a limb. I'm gonna.
But see
that
piece took me a month. That HOX
a month.
Yeah, a month.
So
what
Mark,
is that from, Mark?
What, that one?
Yeah.
That's Avengers.
Oh,
but
that's,
you're talking about this one?
No, I'm talking about the Avengers one with the Asian characters. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, that's from that was a Fortnite crossover that Marvel did a few months ago.
Wait, hold on. Let me find that one again. Sorry.
That's X of Swords.
This one, right?
You did one of those Fortnite things too.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I got roped
that is
in.
glorious.
Thank you. It was fun, actually.
And Mark, you call it that yourself, right?
Yeah. No, that's actually the characters are all done traditionally. So that was all like, the full color traditional render with acrylic and marker. And the background was they needed that piece in a week. And so I did the characters, and then the background was all digitally painted.
Oh, okay. I was
The
gonna say,
characters are done in Copic markers.
Copic and acrylic, yeah.
Oh, that's
No.
come on.
Copic.
Copic markers.
It's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It is super cool, Mark.
Yeah, God, it's freaking
Thanks,
stunning, man.
Thank you. I kind of feel like when I did that Marvel Legacy piece a couple of years ago, that suddenly I became like the George Perez cram as many characters as you can to a cover guy.
Got no one to blame but yourself.
Man, that's hard.
I'm not
'cause you do it.
complaining.
You
I
do it
love it.
so well. Yeah, no, I mean you make it look so. It looks great, but God, what so much work goes into one of those.
Wait, look at that, Jeff.
Wait, hang on a
It's a
second.
lot.
Hang on, guys. I need to make. Ted must have shown up late. Ted, I said Copic as a joke because Dan said Copic and got it wrong. It's Copic.
Don't throw me under the bus.
Ted. So I just don't want Ted getting the impression that I'm an idiot. So
Well, fair enough.
Fair enough.
So, Mark, what is it about? Like, I know that you are now typecast as the guy who does these ridiculously complicated multiple character drawings. Is that, do you like doing those?
I do actually. I mean, you know what? I tell you what I like. I like the fact that every week I'm on to something different, and so every week I get to draw, a different character. So this week will be Fantastic Four. The next week it's X-Men, and then it's Captain America. The week after that, and I never get bored. But these big images with all these characters on it. It's like a myopic version of that, in that it's this piece that has 20 characters or whatever on it. So if I'm going to get bored of this character, I can just move over and work on a different character.
Gotcha.
So a lot of times when I'm working on a piece like that, I'll work on it till I'm kind of like, I'm kind of like feeling a little frustrated or whatever, and I'll just jump over to somebody else. It's just it's fun. I mean, I really enjoy it. Yeah.
If you weren't doing comics, what would it be?
I always I know there's no money in it, but I always like the idea of going into radio.
Huh.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I love listening to radio programs like morning shows, things like that. It's been when podcasts started happening, I was listening to a lot of radio shows from across the country in podcast format. And I don't think I have the voice for it, but I have the face for it.
Could you be spinning the
you're a
oldies
handsome
there?
devil. Well, what I was gonna say, Mark, one of the things I really like about all the big pieces that you do, and I think that you do it very well, and you follow in that George Perez tradition, is that every one of your characters is a unique character. They all have a different facial structure.
Yeah, Jeff, they all have different powers.
Yeah.
Okay. It's called comics.
You're right. I think that you do that very, very well, which is it's difficult to do, since I don't know about you, but I'm always drawn to sort of the everyman drawing or the every woman drawing, and you mix it up well.
Well, I mean, it was happening before now, and but in this day and age, we have, people are much more socially aware of, treatment, whether it's real people or fictional characters. And I realized that while there are a lot of, because I'm kind of known for, in some circles and in some ways, I'm kind of known for drawing sexy women, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a while there that I got a little nervous because I saw some artists that were people were really going after them, and I was like, oh, I wonder, when is my time going to be on the chopping block? And my chopping block time never came. And
till
I was
now.
talking till now. Yeah, this is an intervention, isn't it?
This is it, right?
No, I realized I was talking to some friends about it, and I was like, no one's really come after me. No one's really said anything. And we were talking about it, and they said, well, because your characters look like real people. And I realized they don't look like real people. I do not draw realistically, but the one thing I think what they were trying to convey, because the person I was talking to wasn't an artist, I think what they were trying to convey is that my people have personage. They look like people. They don't look like, some cookie cutter, bacon-eyed, Bombshell or something, they actually look like real people with real feelings and they have personality to them. And I think that no one is trying to stop anyone from drawing sexy artwork or sexy women or good looking sexy guys or whatever. I think that what the audience wants but they can't convey because they don't have the terminology or understanding what they're seeing to be able to convey it is they want people with personality and with personage. And you can draw as sexy as you want as long as that person looks like they're owning the narrative. But so much artwork doesn't look that way. People are focusing only on the sexiness of it or the being scandalous or scantily clad or whatever, and there's no emotion behind it. And if you can imbue your characters with emotion and a sense of confidence and being, you can get away with a lot more than you can if you're just doing, a hot chick in her underwear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Well, you're giving a character
gratuitous.
dimension.
Yeah. Or I'm just talking out my ass, and no one cares.
No, I mean,
That's why I haven't been called on the carpet yet.
I mean, I think you nailed it, and I think that's one of the reasons you've had such success, and that you're doing okay, and that you have not been attacked yet, because I think you're doing it right.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah, but I think there's a part of that's true. I think it also has to do with pose and attitude of the characters. I think that has a lot to do with that, right? Is the character just there to be oogled at? Is the character there in a commanding pose? You know what I mean? There's so many intangible things, because I think it's also caused artists to also, in some cases, almost think twice or be maybe too careful because they're afraid that someone's going to come after them and say, "Oh my God, this is what are you doing?"
Yeah, what are you doing?
I think intent is a big part of it too. What were you intending? What are you trying to say with the image? Which may not necessarily fly with today's audience.
Jeff, you seem like you're listening to everything, but are you taking it in though?
I do believe that Joe's comment about intent actually does matter, and I do think that I think the artist, whilst drawing something, I have a fifth dimensional belief that the intent comes through in the drawing.
Look, there was the bad girl era in comics, if you guys remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
The intent was very clear during that time period, and some people still, enjoyed the you can't say you enjoyed any of those books because I would argue that very few of them were readable because the intent was strictly it's just TNA. That's all they were really pushing. And that, look, more power to them. It's the market, could dictate a lot of the stuff, but I think, a lot of that stuff today would just be viewed as gratuitous because it's kind of what it was. But there were a lot of things during, the aughts that were not the 90s and late 80s that was sort of gratuitous in a lot of different ways.
Sorry, my light box.
Did it? So, I mean,
the thing is that stuff is still around today. I mean, there are plenty of books. And
there was a book called Prophet. I don't know if you ever saw Prophet.
Right.
Yeah. Prophet set the world on fire.
Right.
That book was nothing but male cheesecake.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
Well, beautifully so. And if you liked mullets, it was great.
It was 100% about mullets.
I always.
Oh.
Is that? Did we lose Mark?
We lost him for a second.
I'm still
Mark,
here.
Can you repeat that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
We didn't get your full thought. You were about to say something. We lost you.
Oh, sorry. No, my feeling on it is that, and I don't mean to get into any kind of controversial thing, and I'm not looking to start any kind of flame thing or get you guys a certain amount of shit. But yeah, there are people in this that are comic fans that are really against kind of the way some comics are leaning these days, and I I understand what they're saying because a lot of them are, they're old school comic fans and they like what they like and they're not really going to change and they want the same thing they read back in 1995 or 1991 or 1983. And I get that. But the thing that always bugs me is that stuff is still here. It's still around.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. It's like not, back in the 80s, back in the 90s, not every comic was the same, right? And there just happens to be more variety today than ever before. But
if you liked Avengers, there was West Coast Avengers.
Right. The stuff that you may be craving from a nostalgic point of view, it's still there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But it shouldn't be there at the cost of doing other things. So and again, Mark, I'm sure when you broke in, and anybody, any of the clowns on the show know, when we broke in, there were generations of fans that hated our stuff because it wasn't what they grew up with, and that's cool, that's fine. But the stuff they grew up with was still being produced too. So it's no different today. I've done lectures, I've done workshops, I've spoken publicly and to artists and stuff. And the one thing I always say is, like, as a creator, I can't speak for fans, but as a creator, avoid the old man syndrome. And by that I mean, like, it was better in my time. You know what I mean? It's like, have an appreciation for the new stuff that's out there. You don't have to love it all, but if it's selling, you should really pay attention if you want to continue to be relevant as an artist, or at least, be open to learning something from it, even if it's not your cup of tea. For fans, it's a different story because they're plunking their money down, and they want what they want. And I would understand some of those arguments, if those books weren't being produced anymore. It's like, oh, well, it's a shame that style of book is no longer something that's being produced, but it's still out there. So that's so it's kind of a weird argument. That's the weird part is the fact it's like, I want my books. Well, they're there.
Well, that's what kills me about it, is because I think of it like I call it the cake syndrome, which is everyone wants their piece of cake, and I understand that, and everyone should get their piece of cake. And luckily, the way the industry is right now, everyone can have their piece of cake. But there's so many people out there that are like, I want a piece of cake. Oh, and I want yours too.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's cake for everybody. Everyone gets a piece of cake. And so, this idea that, well, I have my cake and it's fine, but I'm more focused on your cake. And it's like, well, no, don't be focused on that.
I mean, what is the comic book industry? It's not a bakery.
Right? Right.
Yeah.
To sort of bolster up what Joe was saying, because I think he nailed it, is I think intent really matters. And I think it shows in the art. And that
yes.
And that's all the artist can really do, is have the best intention. And if someone
ultimately, the viewer is going to bring their own prejudice to it.
Yeah.
And put it, wherever they want to put it. Art's interpretive.
And you can't do anything about that. Like there actually came a point when it seemed like, everybody was kind of being come after, which, understand. But there came a point where I started really seriously thinking about, okay, when it's my turn, what am I going to say? What's going to be what's going to be my stance on this? And I realized that my stance on this, if the time ever comes, is I know who I am, I know where I stand, I know what I believe. I know that what I believe is, or I believe that what I believe is the right way to think. And my view is kindness and respect. And I apologize if anything I've ever done in my artwork has ever offended or upset anybody. But I'm confident that what I do is righteous, and I don't know any other way to be.
And Mark, but that's the whole thing. I mean, you can't be doing art and not inevitably offend somebody. It's just,
right.
It's just part of the makeup of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's okay. But like I say, that's why intent to me matters. What are you demonstrating through your work, right? I mean, I've always been a big proponent of that. It's like people have different political beliefs, religious beliefs, and stuff like that, and that's all wonderful. Just as long as you're not, preaching hate, teaching hate, or bringing hate to the table.
Yeah.
Hey guys, look, animation.
This is the worst flip book ever.
Oh, look at that. Back and forth. Nice.
All right, enough of that. Enough.
I love
Okay,
that.
enough. Okay.
No, okay,
Well,
wait. Before we move on, I have to say, Joe, because you are in the spotlight that you're in, because of who you are, the way you handled a lot of that stuff on Twitter and online, over a year ago, was
more than
it was incredibly admirable the way you did it, because you were able to talk you were so succinct about it and non-emotional, and to the point of being positive.
And to the point of almost being a robot, Joe.
Yeah. Look, the thing is, look, they're clearly there's trolls out there, but then there's other people that are just, they have their feelings and they get hot about it. But it serves no purpose for me to get hot about it. I mean, if they're a paying customer, then I'm going to hear them out and I'm going to be, respectful. But if you start doing hateful things, I'm just going to say, look, that's really not a cool thing. It just isn't cool. And maybe think a little bit about it before, how it's affecting other people before you say it, because there are people on the, I've often said that this has nothing to do with that stuff that went on a couple of years ago. But this just fandom in general, right? Sometimes fandom in general, when they hate something, right? Especially when they hate something, they talk to creators as though they are two-dimensional comic book villains twisting a mustache.
Right.
But they talk about the characters as though they are three-dimensional human beings with blood rushing through their system. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a really weird dichotomy. But because they it's just very, very weird, because Marvel has all these conspiracies and plans and to destroy this and that. Why would we do that? Why in God's name? That's why I love to joke when I say, listen, I've been trying to destroy this comic book industry for the 30 years that I've been in it. And
you are just not good at destroying it.
Failure. It's like
you're not good at it.
In God's name, right? Why in God's name would we creators, editors, publishers be sitting around twisting our mustaches, looking for a way to destroy the thing that feeds our family?
Right.
Take away the part that we are passionate and we love these characters and we love them so much that we will continue to work on them as long as we possibly can, because we love the characters, we love the industry, we love the art form. We also want to destroy it so we can never work it in again, never make it in. It's unfathomable to me, but I understand from the fan aspect, that knee-jerk reaction to go, you suck and you've been doing this on, because as a sports fan, I sometimes like to yell at the guy who's hitting and has been a big slump. He's on TV, he's not hearing me, but if I met him in person, of course, I understand he's a human being and he's in a slump. He's not trying to strike out.
He's still a bum. He's a damn bum. Hit the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bum. I tell you.
But I just don't think, I think on all sides of this spectrum, there's just way too much. It's the whole thing is way too acrimonious. I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm speaking to people in that way. I'd rather talk to them, level-headed, logically. And if they get it, that's great. If they don't get it, nothing I can do.
Well, I mean, the one thing I realize is, 9 times out of 10 online, no one's ever going to get it, and that's why I think that you don't think so. You think they can?
Disagree. I think yes, I agree with you with some people, but there have been times where I've literally just had somebody, and if I'm in a playful mood, I'll do this, right? Other times it's just like, I just don't have the energy. But somebody will be like, "You suck, or I hated this particular run," and I'll be like, "That's cool, man. I get it. It wasn't your cup of tea," and just by addressing that, I've had so many experiences where people will like just tweet back or message me on Facebook. Hey man, thanks for acknowledging. I'm going to give that another shot, or that was really cool of you.
Right.
You know what?
And you could. I noticed that it turns people, sometimes, and it's happened to me over email. It's happening on letters where are just like, okay, I get it. Not everything we do is for everybody, and you know what? Sometimes we just suck, and we try not to suck the next time. So I think fans.
Well, I think what you're also saying is like what you've basically done by saying that, and oddly enough, I don't even like the guy, but Adam Carolla said this, and I tried it a couple of times, and I was like, I'm amazed at how well it worked. Where he said someone will, like what you said, we email and say, "Oh, you suck," or "This sucked," or whatever you do sucks.
Yeah.
And his response apparently is the same way every time, which is, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry you feel this way about this. Hopefully, I could do something in the future that you will like."
Yeah.
And it's something as simple as that, and it's something to turn on like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry." Yeah, I mean, they just want to be heard.
You mean apologize?
We are.
Yeah.
No, you don't. It's not apologizing. It's just a matter of like, hey, if you didn't care for it, I get it. Check out something else that we're doing. Check out something else I'm doing. These are, you have to go under the assumption these are paying customers, and it is not. It's not our job as creative. I mean, when I was editor-in-chief and as a member of Marvel, somebody who works there, I feel it's my job to sell some books, right, and to promote our company. So, I want to do that to the best of my ability. But, I've also heard people say, creators are responsible for marketing this. No, they're not. They're not. If a creator never went on social, it's not part of their job description. Some creators are really good at doing it. They're really good on social at promoting their stuff. And that's great. If you could do that, that's great. But it's not a creator's job to promote their product. It's the company's job. If you're doing creator owned, it's a different thing. But if you're going to be on social, then I think you need to consider yourself, a bit of an ambassador for your work. And if you let trolls get to you, and I know it's hard, man. I know it's hard to resist them, and I've had experience with it. If let trolls get to you, they've gotten exactly what they want, which is that they've gotten to you, they've got under your skin, right. And you show them that they hurt you and that you care.
Right.
And at the end of the day, if you can actually see the person who might have sent you that nasty tweet, you might realize I really probably shouldn't have cared that much about that.
Right.
Right.
It's just.
Does anybody else feel like they just had to talk to their dad?
Well, I mean, Joe's got a lot of experience of it.
He's absolutely right. I mean, it's absolutely right. No, I only say that, Joe, because what you mean to me as far as coming up in the industry.
Right.
No, it's true. But no, you're absolutely right. It's very tough because I think that in this day and age, unlike what it was in the 90s or the 80s, because we have social media, every single artist or creator that works in the industry has to be their own like pirate ship. Yeah. You're a gun for hire. You're a vigilante. And as much as I may be out there posting a cover I did for Marvel or DC or anywhere, or anything, that when I'm promoting it, I'm promoting that brand. And I think my social media following and the attention I could bring to the project is part of the reason why I would think I'm hired. But at the same time, I'm promoting myself because at the end of the day, I'm not an employee of Marvel. I'm not an employee of DC. I'm a freelancer. And as much as I hate the name, I'm a brand that I constantly have to. This
is something when I was in art school, it was one of the things they taught us in our senior year as we were leaving. Your name is your brand. Your name is Coca-Cola. It's Crest, whatever. And when people see your name signed on a piece of artwork, be cognizant of what is the feeling that they get. When an editor says your name in a meeting, right? Like maybe we should get Mark to do these covers. What's the reaction? Huh? They do. They say that a lot. Sorry, but no. I mean, listen. I've been in meetings where they'll mention an artist's name for a project, right? And maybe the artist is a deadline nightmare, or maybe the artist is an attitude problem, and you'll see the faces of the editorial. People go, and they go for different reasons, but that artist has established a brand that is something that needs to be improved on. So for young artists out there, your name is your brand. So when people
did they ever bring up my name, Joe?
What was that?
Did they ever bring up my name?
No, Dan, they
don't.
don't.
Actually, Dan,
They don't
tend
bring
to
it up.
Only as a
forget-
cautionary tale.
they tend to forget your name, Dan, which is even worse.
And when they do bring it up, they mispronounce it.
Yeah.
Well, that's a given. That's a given.
Panishin.
Cyan.
But and it's the other thing I want to say about the social stuff, Mark, since we're on it, and now you got me on my freaking high horse, is wait, should I again, Dan? What was that?
Sorry.
Again.
Wait.
No, right before that one.
God, there's a good one. I'm trying to find it. Hold on. There it is.
I'm trying to do you a favor here, Dan. There it is. There it is.
Nice.
Nice.
Ted.
Hey, Ted, I got a present for you right here.
Yeah.
What? So, Ted, I have a present for you. It's a big hug.
So, but the other thing I just want to tell artists out there is when you go after the trolls, you elevate the trolls, which is exactly what they want.
Sure.
Why not give it to them?
Huh?
Why not give it to them? They need
All you
it.
do is promoting them. That's all you're doing is promoting them.
I found that out today.
Now, what if I have a really great zinger? Because sometimes they literally open the door, and I'm like, man, I could make you look so small right now, and the temptation sometimes is just too much.
There's a way to do a zinger that is. I try to make them self-deprecating. I really do, because I think that's I love just taking a piss on myself, but you have to keep. I mean, I've noticed this. Dan and I have talked about this. Ben, why are you laughing?
Nothing. I thought of a joke somebody told me about 3 days ago. And it popped in my head right then.
Okay. But I'll find it around crowdfunding season, when someone's crowdfunding something, they decide that they want to try to take a poke at me and have me address them in some way. And I'm like, I'm not addressing you. Are you kidding me?
It's a good move on their behalf.
It's just
But it's a bad move if you take them up on it, of course.
I just laugh because I love how important I am to them. That's my best. The best thing out of all of it. What's the joke, Dan? Come on, tell us a joke.
You know what? Honestly, you don't want to inside this area. It's terrible.
I'm sure it was mean about me.
I want to hear it.
It was probably about Jeff.
It was mean about Jeff. Oh, by the way, how was last week? I heard through the exactly. I would calm with that.
You were calm with
What the
that?
hell is that?
Yeah. I wasn't on last week to defend myself, and so let's all make fun of Jeff. I can't help it if I have a lazy eye and a monocle.
Viewership was down. Viewership was way down without you, Jeff.
Yeah,
So.
Dan's the bully.
That's
He's
actually
jealous.
a nice picture.
I can
Damn.
sail.
That's a great picture. It's like JFK, man. That's
Thank you.
No, I love the fashion sense, though.
There you go.
not
Yeah.
this one. Mark. That's not JFK.
Jeff, is that your third nipple or your good second one? Which one is that?
Listen, I have many. We'll call that one Frank.
Not Colonel Gossamer Peppercorn Von Winky Wink.
I don't. That's a wedding picture. You son of you SOB.
I was there. I was at your wedding.
Yeah, you thought you would. You're
actually
uninvited.
married Joe. I married Jeff to his beautiful wife. I
I've
made
heard.
that ceremony happen.
So I heard. So Jeff, did you go and get remarried later on to really make it official?
You know what? It's on some level, it's not valid. I just don't think it's. I don't trust Dan to be an actual minister. I never saw the papers. I'm not 100% sure I'm really married.
That would be so like Dad.
Yeah.
like years. You're celebrating your 10th anniversary, renewing your vows.
Yeah.
And it's like, by the way, dude, I was not.
I was never a minister. I didn't fill the forms out. That's gonna. I mean, we both know that's gonna happen.
That
That would
might
be the-
happen eventually, but it might save you a lot of money down the line. You know?
That would be the ultimate
That's
practice.
the ultimate
It
friendship.
might. And on that note, I should probably get going.
Whoa,
It's almost 8:00.
It's
I think Mark has put up
chorizo
with enough of
time.
this shenanigans.
Mark, you have put up with
It's
a lot,
chorizo o'clock.
honestly.
What? That's it? It's done? Jeff, you're leaving?
Jeff's got a schedule, man.
Jeff, don't
No. I'm happy to keep talking to Mark. I just feel bad for him. I would like to say one last thing to Mark.
Regarding what?
About the idea of any kind of backlash he may or may not have ever gotten.
He hasn't even gotten any yet, Jeff.
I've not gotten any.
That's the point, is I don't think his work merits any of those concerns. It's always individual. It's always, the intent is always pure. And I always think he takes so much care and time to make everything he draws so unique and give each character so much individual personality. I don't know how anyone could ever have a problem with it.
Well, no,
unlike the things Dan just sort of does.
I definitely appreciate that. I will say I have gotten some blowback off every once in a while off something or other from like one person at a time. And it's always one of those people that when I go and take the time to actually look in their social media and see the kind of person they are, the kind of things they complain about, it is so far out there that I don't even consider it like a legitimate complaint.
Yeah.
You know,
well, look, I mean, there are times where a fan will give you a complaint and they'll say, and it may not even be to you. It'll just say it out loud, right? This story, this illustration, and it'll hit you hard because they're right. Saying there's an element of what they're saying that's a little bit right. I'm like, I missed that,
Yeah.
And then there's other times where you're just like, okay, there's something else in this critique, and I'm not disavowing any critiques, but a lot of the stuff sometimes is motivated by something else.
Yeah, it's just projection, basically.
Sometimes people are unionized.
And Mark, you could be called out for something one day, and the next day they're onto something else. So
right. I'm not. I mean, keep in mind. I hope I'm not conveying any other kind of message besides it really has no kind of effect on me.
It sounds like you're spoiling for a fight, Mark.
Well, I'm always spoiled. I am from the South, so
Listen,
I'm always spoiling for a fight.
Tomorrow on Twitter, I am like going after Mark like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Actually, Joe, would you? I could use the follow bump.
In all seriousness, Mark and I had a disagreement a long time ago, and he was so nice about it that I've always felt horrible. So he's a master of it.
No, I will say this: Lauren Stankovich was my editor back when I was working on Ultimate X-Men.
Yeah.
And Lauren, look, I had no business being on a monthly book. I've never had business being on a monthly book. I'm just not fast enough, and so it meant that Lauren was having to call me every 2 and 3 days to be like, where are pages? What's going on? Where are you? And I am much better. As Patton Oswalt once said, your disdain for me, and I'm sorry, your dislike for me is nothing compared to my own self-loathing.
Right.
So, Lauren, she said to me once, she goes, "You're impossible to be mad at." And I didn't understand at the time. Like, what do you mean? She's like, you answer the phone saying you're sorry.
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's from an editor's standpoint, freelancers will be late. We will be late. The worst thing you could do is disappear. The worst thing, it's just like just be non-responsive, non-existent. That stuff is really just like drives editors crazy because they can't even plan around your lateness at that point.
Yeah.
Joe, can I tell a story about you regarding that?
Oh boy.
Please, I beg of you, please tell a story.
Go ahead.
I worked at Marvel, and I suffered when I first broke in comics. Easily the first 5 years I was in comics, I suffered from heavy imposter syndrome. Because growing up, reading comic books to me were like, you might as well just said, you're going to grow up to be like the number one action star in the world. That's what drawing comics was to me. It was being the biggest actor in the world. It was so unattainable yet attainable that it's all I ever wanted to do. So when I finally broke in, because all the people that I loved, growing up suddenly were my peers, and I felt like an imposter. I did. Yeah. And my thing that I would do is I would ghost editors. This is at Marvel. I'm ghosting editors, and I'm not ghosting them because I'm not working. I'm working my ass off. And my thinking was always, well, rather than answer the phone and tell them I'm behind, let me just work my ass off and then turn 8 pages and apologize for not answering the phone.
We've all done that.
Oh, I know, but I was making it a friggin' art form, and I went to HeroesCon one year, and CB, I knew CB back before he started, working at Marvel. He was doing some of his manga and anime stuff in Japan, and I was hanging out with, and Joe was at the con, and I'd actually done a panel with Joe that day, where Joe was very complimentary, and I really appreciated what he said, and then CB said, "Hey, Joe wants to talk to you up in his hotel room." And I'm like,
Here we go.
Here we go. Hold on. Focus on Mark.
Don't tell that story, Mark.
Should I stop? Should I stop?
No, go ahead.
It's
Joe says, "Come up to my hotel room." Go on.
Okay, so
Go tell me more.
I get up and Joe, I walk up with CB and then go into Joe's hotel room, and Joe's not wearing any pants. And I'm kidding, Joe's wearing pants.
But no shirt.
Joe had he sat me down, and Joe had a coming to Jesus meeting with me. That scared the ever-loving shit out of me at the time. But it was a coming to Jesus about, you've got to answer the phone. You've got to talk to your editors. And I have not been at Marvel long enough to have earned this kind of conversation. What I probably had earned was, why is Marvel not calling me anymore? And the fact that Joe took the time when I was so green and so new to sit me down and basically scare the shit out of me was amazing. I mean, it was unbelievable that, Joe, that you took. I don't know. I've never talked to you about this before. Since then, I've never brought it up.
Scare you? I wasn't intending to scare you.
No. You weren't trying to scare me, but I mean, let's face it. It's the editor-in-chief of the place you've wanted to work at since you were 10. So yeah, I mean, you said nothing scary. You didn't yell. You didn't do anything. You just said, "Hey, listen, we need to talk about this." And
how handsy was he? Was he a little handsy?
Super handsy. His hand was running down my shoulder. It kept getting lower and lower.
Right. That's just so you would pay attention.
Yeah, so I get it.
No, but it was one of those times. Like, to this day, I still preach. I'm like, you got to answer your emails, even if it's bad. Bad news is always better than no news.
Yeah. To be serious, that is for freelancers. You have to stay in contact with the editors, even if especially if you're late, because they have a job too. They have to get this stuff done. They have to make decisions based on your productivity.
And don't forget, too many details makes it seem like you're lying when you're lying.
Wait a minute, you're saying you are lying.
Yeah. Don't offer up too many details. That's a sure giveaway that you're lying. So.
Yeah. Dave and I have both made the mistake of being too specific about why we're late.
Yeah, like your baloney today, Jeff, for instance.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a meeting that's going until 9:00 in the evening with the military.
Listen, I can't. If I had this excuse when I was a freelancer, I might have gotten into less trouble.
Fine, I accept it, Jeff. I accept it.
Thank you, Dan. But here's the real truth. It's like, I called you beforehand. It's like, hey, I'm stuck in this. I'm late.
I didn't believe you on that.
Well, I mean, why would you?
Dan assumes everyone is him.
Yeah. Exactly.
I assume everyone's lying to hurt other people's feelings.
Oh, exactly. Hey, Mark. I first off, thanks for sharing that story.
Jeff,
and
are you
sharing
still
all
here?
that stuff. Yeah, he's still here. I'm still here. I know I have Teresa waiting.
I thought you were gone.
Yeah. There's so many foods. There's so many food stuff waiting for me. But so you've got the covers you're doing, and you're doing covers for a while now. Do you have any sequential stuff you're coming up with? Are you done with that for a while?
No, I mean, the last thing I thought I was going to do was a Boba Fett series, but then it got put on the back burner because the Mandalorian was coming out, and now I see that War of the Bounty Hunters, the series, is coming out. No one ever called me to say, "Hey, do you want to do this again?" So no, I mean, I'm really happy with where I am. I've got no sequential stuff coming that I know of. Unless the phone rings tomorrow, but otherwise, I am where I am, and I'm really digging what's going on. So yeah.
Sweet. Well, the covers look amazing, man.
Thanks,
You're
man.
really putting the time into them. They're fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. So, what do you guys think of?
Well, that looks great, Jeff. Oh, amazing. I love it.
Wow.
That's a great hand. My God.
Nice.
I mean,
Very nice.
I know he's
Hard
complicated,
angle.
but I love Jack of Hearts. I love the cosmic characters.
You know what? I'd like to see what you do when you actually have to do all the applique on his little fancy.
It's coming.
vest there.
I'm gonna do it.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right.
Now draw them 100 more times.
Yeah.
If
Well,
you
that's it.
select-
I'm never gonna do a book. That would be crazy.
You guys, I just got the comps from Superman. Sorry, Joe, I'm going to talk about DC Comics for a second.
Okay.
But I just got the comps today for the Superman Red and Blue, and my artwork came out.
Nice
I guess.
cover, Dan.
Oh, that's pretty.
That's
I
nice
didn't draw that.
Oh.
That's
That's why it's so nice.
that's Mrs. Scott,
Okay.
and then there's a Brian Boland
Nice.
or
So
Belong.
where's your cover?
It's funny they didn't give me one, but they did give
I'm sorry. I can't help it, Dan.
It's cold
they
blooded.
did give David Cho one.
Nice.
Yeah. And so you wrote, drew, colored, lettered, and did everything. It's even your own font on that story, right, Dan?
Wait, so you drew a Superman story, Dan, and
I
wrote it?
wrote, drew, colored, and lettered a Superman story. in
And
that.
where did they end up printing it finally?
They didn't print it. They sent me the copies to kind of mock me.
You were supposed to be in this.
You could have been in this if you did a good job. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, God.
Nice.
No, it's
If anybody, any of
number
the fans that are
two.
watching this, if they think that this just stops when we sort of end the show, this is like
I know
7
it.
days a week. This stuff.
No, I'm
never-
very
it
excited
never
about it.
ends.
It's pretty cool.
It doesn't.
It
So every day you get to be in a comic book like that.
It's awesome.
Oh, good times.
It's like the best Superman ever.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Here you go, Mark. Mark, you do some lovely covers. Here's
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
cover.
tell you, Mark. Here's what's happening. You're putting too much work into your covers.
I'm just, you know what? I'm going to bite my tongue on that one.
Oh. All right, gentlemen. I gotta
That's
roll.
called trolling,
I have
folks.
dinner. I have burning food.
What's for dinner today?
Mark, it was a pleasure talking to you. The rest of you, usual.
Yeah,
Yeah, we should close it out. It's been
Thank
2
you for your
hours.
kindness that I was never expecting anybody else but you. So I really appreciate that.
Are you talking specifically to Jeff?
Yes, he's talking to me, the nice one.
I always say Jeff is the best of us.
I will see you guys all later on. Mark, have a fantastic
Jeff.
week. Bye, everybody.
Toodaloo, Jeff.
All right.
Adios.
Jeff's
God,
gone.
God, he's gone. Holy
Finally relax.
Woo! All right, let's party.
Yeah. Guys, buy Superman Red and Blue #2. It kind of rhymes.
Mm.
Oh, you're
Sounds
in
like
the
you
second
see a
issue.
doctor
There's
about
one
that.
issue then?
What? Issue
Issue
#2. Brian Boland did a cover.
So you're not
This
in
is
issue number one.
What?
You're not in issue number one.
No, they decided they opted out. They had I turned it in early,
Yeah.
and they said let's save you for #2.
How many issues are there?
I think there's only 3.
Huh.
No, I think there's got to be at least 4. I think, all kidding aside.
So you're kind of
No,
like,
but all kidding aside, like this David Cho cover.
yeah.
David Cho is a super big deal in like the art scene, like the
fine art
art
world. Yeah.
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 So he does all sorts of he does very realistic stuff. He obviously does crazy interpretational work, and so he's a madman. But he is actually truly a madman. If you you can catch him on like Joe Rogan. That's an amazing episode. I think he threatens Joe Rogan at least twice.
Oh, well, that's smart.
Yeah.
Very talented.
Whoa, Dave's like on his Tinder right now.
What? Dave, I noticed that Dave shoots himself like with cheesecloth, like like old movie stars do. You know?
It's a very steamy apartment.
Yeah,
It's like a weird little universe.
How about that?
like just tons of steam.
There you go.
Holy mackerel!
It's like Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting.
It's like a little Vaseline on the lens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's the old time techniques.
No, I appreciate the effort. I think it's pretty awesome. You know, it's like, hey, ladies.
Dave, so Joe sent you like this amazing
I'm using it.
audio, but now Joe needs to send you a friggin' camera.
I know
What's
this
going on over
camera
there?
sucks.
I got enough of them. So
We're trying to run. Mark, what do you think about the production value here at Drink and Draw?
I'm glad that some of you guys finally got decent microphones. Not to pick on Joe particularly, but Joe was the worst at the beginning of this. I barely understand you, Joe. But you all sound great now. I love the fact that Ben has an actual background. He's like the green screen background going.
Ben's the man.
That's very cool.
yeah,
You all sound great, but yeah, Dave does look like Sybil Shepherd in Moonlighting.
With a beard.
yeah.
People don't need to see me that well.
The angle is the heroic sort of upshot. You know, I think it's.
Well, I've got nothing to mount the camera. It's either that or all the way
Careful.
like that. So
Yeah.
That's better.
You really.
Moonlighting strangers.
Ben, I've almost drank this. Like,
Are you
pretty much
going to the straight vodka? You got off the kombucha?
Yeah, I could take the kombucha, but I drank like it started off about here, and then I think I'm down to here. So I've done pretty good this episode.
I've been keeping hydrated.
You know, I should have been drinking Jack Daniels for the
Sponsor of the show.
but Ben did send me this thing, which is amazing.
Oh yeah,
What's
like
that?
5 years ago, and it's still sitting there.
Well, I'm not gonna do it until let's see. It's the Sinatra edition.
Wow, nice.
It's the type of guy Ben
I
is.
sent you a nice bottle of something, didn't I? At one point.
You did. Actually, it got complimented the other day. A guy actually figured out exactly what it was. It was a handcrafted bottle.
Yeah.
Hand beaded on the top. It was pretty amazing. Also,
But
I understand.
Are you guys mailing out free booze to each other? Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Because I like to give them that mailing list.
Well, Dan came up to my hotel room one day, so I had to sort of reciprocate.
It's kind of like
I never got a bottle of booze.
You got the hotel time. You got a little hotel time. I've
you
never
got the
had
Louis
that.
C.K. treatment.
Yeah.
All I got was a Snickers bar and a smack on the ass.
Yeah, I never got the hotel conversation. He's told me about it. I've never gotten it.
I gave Dan no advice. You kidding me?
Joe actually
After his, the pen controls you.
Actually, Joe gave me great advice early on in my career. I took none of it, and then I watched his career skyrocket. And
I did try to give you advice, Dan.
You did. You didn't give it. To be fair, Joe doesn't give like advice like sit down, listen to me, come into my hotel room.
It's through example, Dan.
It's like watch and learn.
Yes.
And then,
well, when he meets a guy who's rubbing himself down with Coca-Cola and baby oil, where are you going to go from there?
You got to start small, man.
baby steps.
You can't. Like
Jeff,
Mark was ready. Mark was ready for a master class. Dan is like, okay, let's start with what do we start with first? The Coke or the baby oil?
One of them has to go. You have to remove one of them from the equation.
I'm suddenly realizing
you guys met him later in life. He was a mess, dude.
Yeah, he wants to be sticky, not slimy.
Yes.
Mark, Joe met me when I was 21 and a friggin' maniac from Florida.
All you had to say was from Florida. The maniac goes along with it.
Yeah.
It's redundant, yeah.
Joe, I do want to apologize, but now I'm suddenly realizing why you probably wish I didn't tell that story. So I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. It's fine. It absolutely fine. It's no, why would I'm glad it helped. You just never know.
Oh God, it did. You have no idea.
But the reason I say I like, wait, I scared you, is because and I know what you're saying, because I've always had trouble. I've talked to these guys about it. I always have trouble putting myself in perspective of myself and then my position at Marvel. So I know, like on social and when I'm marketing stuff, that it carries some weight. But when I'm just hanging out with the guys, I'm just kind of hanging out with the guys. When I'm hanging out with other artists, I just feel like I'm hanging out with other artists. And it became really clear one day. And I don't say this because I enjoyed it. I say it because I hated it. What are you guys laughing at?
The comments about Dave.
The camera lens, yeah.
Sorry.
I remember walking into a convention party, and I heard somebody whisper, "Cool it, the Godfather's here," right? And it bugged the crap. I wasn't angry about it, but it bugged the crap out of me, because at that point I realized, damn it, I'm not just one of the other artists in here. It's like people are going to inevitably act differently. My close friends don't, because they know I'm an idiot. But other freelancers don't know me. They're going to act differently. And sometimes when I have conversations with people, I'm like, oh, like you said, it scared the hell out of you. I'm like, why? Oh, okay, because of my position in the company. But that was
it was nothing you actually did. You didn't do anything. I mean, you were nothing but graceful and kind with everything you said to me. It was just it was just what it was and who you were, and the fact that I was suffering from horrible imposter syndrome. And I didn't walk out of there going, I didn't walk out depressed or like I was going to kill myself. I literally walked out more energized. Like, I can't believe that he took the time to do this, because, like I said, I'd only been at Marvel maybe 5 years, 4 years, maybe even less. But like, it wasn't the kind of thing. Yeah, it wasn't the kind of thing that I would have expected. Like, I would expect that, you hear that comics is it's a dog eat dog world, and it's trial by fire, and you do the work and you do it, or you don't and you're gone. Yeah. And so the idea that the editor-in-chief of Marvel Comics, who I didn't know from Adam, took the time to do that for me was a huge deal to me. It was a real turning point for my career. So when I say you scared me, it wasn't like you did nothing to scare me. It was the situation. It was my own feelings towards it.
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, it's always weird,
Yeah.
Like
when you invite a freelancer into your hotel room.
When Ben first met me, he hated me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, still does.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Less.
Good. But all right.
All right. The more you know.
Dum dum dum.
It's one to grow on. Something like that. This has been a very somber almost.
Has it?
Well, with Jeff's absence, you feel a void. Definitely.
Has this been somber? Has this not been fun? I'm not going to get asked back, am I?
No, you'll never be asked back.
Probably eventually. I mean, we had Joe on twice, for God's sake. Anything possible.
Yeah, we had Frank on twice.
Yeah.
Well, only one made the air, though.
Right.
But no, Frank Joe, the real Frank.
Oh, I thought you meant Thierry.
No.
Mark, you know how you feel that someone's going to call you out, on social and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Dan hears that all the time with certain episodes, and it never happens because nobody cares.
It just went blurry there. I don't know. It's not. Maybe you have a Vaseline button or something.
Oh boy!
Oh,
he's got a quality show. Well, look at that. You know what? Frank Thierry is a great guy. Here's the deal: if Frank Thierry comes back, he comes back the same way he did the first time at Joe's house.
At Joe's house. That's because he's got the technology of a caveman.
Never again. Never again. I had to delouse my house. It was awful. It took weeks.
No, that was delousing. Yeah. Well, Mark, thank you very much. I've got some Dave's hot chicken waiting for me, and that's not a metaphor for anything.
Hey.
No, it's not. Dave's hot chicken. I think I'll even bring Ben to that place because it's fantastic here in LA.
Really?
Wow.
You've never taken me there. You've never taken me there, Dan.
Dave, I'm not even sure you exist. It's like you're like fading in and out over there. It's like a ghost. Joe, can you please send him a camera?
No.
No.
Look, I've sent him a microphone. If I send him a camera, we might as well be dating. You know, it's like
True.
it's a little too much.
Oh, look at that. Frank started following somebody. I didn't even know Frank knows how to operate Twitter. I like that. That's
It's only a
fantastic.
couple buttons. It's all
Wow.
All right, Mark, enough is enough. We don't have Jeff here to keep things,
Tidy.
normal, I guess.
It's been emotional.
It has been emotional.
This is a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate it. I'm sorry if I wasn't as goofy, and I know you probably sit here and just cut up a couple hours.
No, this is
No.
Maybe I got too serious a
I
few
mean, we've
times.
been on
So
for 2 hours.
apologies if that happened.
We would have cut you off a long time ago if we were bored.
That's right. It's a long one, hasn't it? Wow.
yeah. This might be the longest episode yet, Mark.
Time
And
flies.
because of that,
Are you serious?
No.
It's 8:23.
I mean, I'll go all night if you guys want to go all night. I mean, let's.
We have
That's
to
why
get
Joe invited you and
Hey,
me,
hey.
program.
I'll take my pants off. We'll get crazy.
Let's do it.
PG, right?
All right. On that beautiful note,
Unbelievable.
How do you top that? We should just go to dead air now.
yeah, just dead silence.
When you edit it, as soon as Mark says, "I'll take my pants off," just cut it.
How about this? Ben? Ben, let's start a new thing here where at the end of an episode, like you kind of sit back, it seems like you're taking it all in a sense. What if you like summarize the episode and kind of imparted like your wise words?
Oh, like Jerry Springer.
Yeah.
Take it all in,
Yeah.
tie it up into a neat little bow.
Yeah. Explain it, like just kind of summarize.
It's pronounced Copic.
Okay.
Don't drink kombucha with alcohol.
True. We've noticed that.
Yeah. You're short.
Okay. That's debatable. Average height.
What else?
Short legs.
What else did we cover? Yeah, like
Email
Cat
your
or
editor.
Corgi.
And that's a good nickname for Dan.
Dan the Corgi.
Corgi Panosian.
All right. This is a bad idea. Forget it.
Dave's got extra Vaseline.
I like this. If Joe invites you to his hotel room, always say yes.
Always.
Always.
It's not a bad experience.
No.
Keep your pants on.
Keep your pants on.
Yeah.
Advisable.
Be smart. Stay safe.
Safe. Ask questions.
Ask questions all the time. All right, folks. It's been fun.
Been a blast.
Has it?
we doing this again next week?
This is the least attention Dan's had paid to his art on an episode yet. And I think he's gonna hurt from this for a while.
Yeah.
This is actually the Avengers.
Are we doing this again next week?
Sure.
Do we have to do this again next week?
We don't have to. We don't even have a guest. Some of the guests actually have been texting me saying I'm off next week.
Yeah.
I can't
You
do
want
it.
me to come back? I'll come back.
Could you come back?
I'll come back. I mean, I seriously will come back, but I don't know if you guys want me back.
Jeff's got more questions, I guarantee you.
Jeff actually didn't prepare for this episode.
Yeah, that's an unprepared Jeff. Can you
Yeah,
imagine?
imagine a prepared Jeff.
Yeah, he's going to
He
deep
knows
dive
everything
into
about
your
you
life.
from every stage of your life.
I really think you guys should call Jeff Elmers because he really is the glue that holds this all together.
Oh man.
I don't
You
like
know,
Jeff.
if you come back next week, he's going to ask you about your first nocturnal emission, the first time you scraped your knee. I mean, he deeps dive.
But the crazy thing is, he knows the answers.
Yeah, he already knows. He doesn't want you
He
to
already
answer.
knows.
He already knows it.
Yeah, he knows when you're
At one point, and I don't like to talk behind the scenes. It's just not my character. I'm a different person than that. But Jeff actually sent me, and this is no joke, like a whole scripted, like, then you say this, Dan, and then Ben will say this. And I'm like, this is never going to happen. I'm He had like an entire script for all of us. I'm like, are you serious? This is never going to happen.
Yeah, but no cue cards.
But the effort, it was the effort, man.
No, and he wrote it out like it was a full script, and he did it about 6 weeks in a row. We never followed it. He gave it to all of us, and he just finally gave up. I did have to have like 2 conversations with him on the phone about it, and I just kind of kept, agreeing with him. But obviously, we weren't going to ever do it. So
that's amazing.
Was the answers were scripted too.
Yeah, even the answers I
knew what the guest was going to say.
Unbelievable.
It's amazing.
Listen, he's a control freak.
Yeah.
It's that military background, man.
He's a hippie control freak. He's like fighting. He's like a dichotomy. He's fighting within himself. He's half hippie, half like sergeant of the army.
Yeah.
But his camera is much clearer than Dave's.
Yeah, his camera is much clearer. Dave, you know what you could do, and I don't mean to explain things to you. You could just turn off your overhead light, and that would change a lot. Try it. What the heck?
Whoa.
Now you're in the dark.
Well, now I can't see.
Well, how about you have just like a normal light on in your house? How about that?
I didn't hear you. What?
I said, how about you just have a light on in your home and you're not like in darkness?
Well, you want me to draw or do you want me to be beautiful?
Well, how about you just...
How about both?
All right, whatever. Mark, I apologize.
I would expect nothing less. This has been a lot of fun, guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on.
Glad to have you, Mark.
All right.
Thank you.
Joe, whatever.
Take us out. Take us
We'll
out, Ben.
discuss this later, Joe.
What was
Yeah,
that?
we'll talk about this. Obviously. We'll discuss this.
I talked too much. I talked over my quota. Is that what happened?
No, you did great. Mark did great. Dave, oh God. It was a lovely episode.
idea.
Hey, listen, we could hear Dave today. We could hear him,
Dave actually chimed in a few times.
it was important. We heard Dave today.
All right. At this point, even the viewers are complaining that we haven't signed
Right.
off.
All right, let's sign off officially. Ben, say something important.
Now you can really hear me.
Wow.
Wow.
Put some reverb in that.
Yeah, it's bad when the viewers are like, "Don't you guys have to go?"
No, it's actually during COVID. That's why I get upset with Jeff. I'm like, where are you really going? There's nothing going on tonight. It's Wednesday. Nothing's
Hey,
happening.
listen, every weekend we get those photographs from Jeff's excursions and his walks and his hikes and his
He's not taking a midnight stroll. Okay.
Well, it doesn't matter. He ends up in some gorgeous little bistro and he's drinking
Just in the
wine.
morning,
He's got his cheese
hiking.
plate and his craft beer, and it's like he's reading books on screenwriting and he's improving himself every day. It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing wrong?
I hate that Jeff exists.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. That's enough.
I don't know what Ben's laughing. Ben's having a party all unto himself. I'm missing everything that Ben is.
All right, Dave. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you,
Mark.
guys. I really appreciate it. This was a ton of fun. I was glad to hang out with you guys.
Goodbye, everyone. Thanks
Say
for
goodbye,
joining. Glad to have you. Next week will be shorter.
Yeah.
At least.
Maybe not at all.